Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Soy Andrew Remaster TV y bueno, les comento que estamos o vamos a comenzar con el stream de la New World Map Contest 3. Es esta tercera competición ya de los mapas nuevos, así que esto es súper genial. Esto llega gracias a Team Think Quick, nuestros amigos de, bueno, Estados Unidos y Canadá, también gente de Alemania. Y bueno, los concursantes del torneo son de todo tipo, de todos los países del mundo, incluidos coreanos. Vamos a ver unos mapas de RISS también. Toda la transmisión va a ser en inglés. Van a escuchar el análisis de los que saben muy bien hacer los mejores mapas del mundo. Van a poder escuchar de sus bocas, de su propia opinión, todo el análisis de estos mapas. Recuerden que son mapas reescritos, rehechos, rediseñados, pero pensando en el estándar actual. Así que los dejo con esta maravilla que gracias a Team Think Quick nos permite retransmitir. No van a ver comentarios en español ni nada por el estilo, solo estoy haciendo la retransmisión de esto porque me parece valiosísimo. Voy a dejar en el chat el enlace directo del canal de Twitch de Team Think Quick para que ustedes se puedan sumar si desean y hacer preguntas en el chat.
Then that map, the issues need to be resolved in order for it to proceed to the next round of the contest. So all these maps that we're showing, I believe they have been screened, right, frequently? Yes. And they've been approved by the majority of map makers. For what it's worth. Okay, should we go to the next map or anything else to add?
Let's do it. Next one.
Oh, this is a classic.
Honestly, all these maps look like all the other maps we've seen.
You know, if you think about this one, you wouldn't have to change that much. Like, just narrow the expansion a bit, and maybe make the back door more difficult to open, and you basically almost have a playbook. Okay, maybe the close by air is a little.
You know what map this is?
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Raz, do you know?
Yeah, Paranoid Android.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Gentlemen are right.
So, just a side note, Testbug, I think, is trying to tailor this map towards 2 versus 2. Not specifically balancing it for 1-on-1, just so you guys are aware.
Big shout out to Testbug. He's an old school map maker who's returned. I think he's been mapping what, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, 2v2 would make more sense with it being a 4-player map. I don't know, maybe some, not my own opinion, but I think playing it with the 4-player map loses a little bit of Paranoid Android.
Yeah, I actually missed that it was a 4-player map.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that. I didn't even look down there because I was like, yeah, it's a Paranoid map, whatever. Wasn't even looking down there. But
so when I look at it and I say 4-player map, when I think back to those games on Paranoid Android and like what was different, especially like in those like WCGs when it was one of the maps there, is that you're playing so close to your opponent for like these quick drop style, where now all of a sudden you can spawn on the same side where you're not going to be close to them and have that option anymore.
Now it's like Python, actually.
Interesting fact about Paranoid. When I remember playing it back in the day, I didn't realize it was a small map. It was only 96 by 96. And I actually realized that when this contest came out, I was like, holy shit, no wonder it was so fucking small.
I think this map is really similar, except that it's a 4-player map, you know?
Did you guys realize that this was a tiny map back in the day?
So,
I know
it definitely felt that way when you played, like, you know, certain matches, how quick things happen. Like, that's what I think about now. Like, if you're on the same side, is it actually further away than being, like, instead of spawning at, like, 1 and 2 o'clock, if you spawn at 2 and 7, are you closer or further? Further, right? Okay.
But, I mean, if the idea is to make a 2 versus 2 version of Paranoid Android, then I'd say he nailed it. Like, if it's supposed to be a 2v2 map, you know?
Yeah. How come Red's main is bigger than the other mains? Or am I just... It does look kind of bigger now.
I think the mains are the same size as Eclipse. Yeah.
Okay. Also, interesting side note, you already made a 3-player version of the map like back in 2007 or so.
He really loves this
Oh,
map.
and by the way, Minerals, what happened to your PA remake?
It looks nice.
Two-player remake.
Yeah, what happened to it, Minerals?
There's a picture of it you can look at.
I think you were over ambitious. Is what happened?
DeWalt and Barracks played a best of 3 on it.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Sweet.
DeWalt got bopped.
What? Spoiler. Wow, man. What's cool about this 4-player version is it's like playing Russian roulette. You know, like you don't know if your opponent's gonna spawn like right across from you. So that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Could give rise
cool
to
map,
two
for sure,
completely
yeah.
different games, actually, which might be totally
Two
different
players
from the
actually
original
like
spirit.
it if you can go aggressive air on close distance. So
like some people would complain, they're like, "Oh, 2H mute is too strong, inba terrible." But like, honestly, dude, I think it's fine. Like,
If you spawn like across from each other, or like bottom and top, is that still in the original spirit of the map, though? Do you think?
No, it's not. I think this is as close.
Isn't that what defines this map? Is the close?
Yeah,
spawns?
it is. I think so. I think for a 2 versus 2 version of Parallel, it's 5 out of 5. It's the closest you could make it. But for 1 versus 1, I think that is not in the spirit to make it a full thing.
Those are the kind of cool judgment calls. It's kind of subjective, and obviously this map just like passed the screen around. But there's some people who will like stick to that criteria and be
Este
like,
mapa es peruano,
as
este mapa
great
es
as
peruano,
this is
ojo.
in every single aspect, it falls
Este es un mapa
short on
peruano de Test
that
Bug.
particular part. And
Es el
therefore,
remake de
it's not
Paranoid
that terrible.
Android.
I mean,
other people might be just crazy about this map, especially like the 4 spawning position idea.
depending on the spawns, like as for a 4-player version, I mean, some people say that Python's outdated, but it'll still play really nice games. Like 8 out of 10
El mapa
times.
antiguo es el de la izquierda, que es hecho por el coreano Forgotten. El mapa se llama Paranoid Android, por eso dice based on, basado en Paranoid Android. Y el mapa nuevo está a la izquierda en verde, es el verde.
Mutalist can be really strong, but dropships
Y el autor
are
peruano
also
es
really
Test
strong.
Bug, así se hace llamar, y el mapa también es Paranoid Android. Solamente que este nuevo mapa tiene que ser, o tiene que cumplir algunas normas de estándar moderno, ¿no? Cosas como tener una expansión natural que pueda tener un buen choke point, que tenga un overlord de spot, que se parezca mucho al juego actual, para que los jugadores puedan decidirse a jugar también en este tipo de mapas.
The only expansion you can take as a river is the other main. That's the only expansion really.
Yeah.
Freakling Minerals, you guys usually share a map pack with like foreign Korean tournament organizers. You could also like share the link of the slideshow presentation. Would be cool for them to also maybe go through it, just so they see what maps they're based on.
As a map itself, I believe in the concept of this. Maybe it has to be adjusted a bit. Like maybe make the mineral lines base the wall of the map to make Tuatmuta weaker, considering the air distance, right? Like, and then maybe make the middle plateau expansion have 1 ramp only instead of 2 to make Sarah Weaver stronger. Like maybe, I don't know. But
when are you gonna start mapping, buddy?
I don't think you want to see the maps I will make because I'm a little insane. Like I think basically we can do a lot.
Definitely want to see that.
We definitely want to see that, yeah.
People think the races are capable of, except Protoss. Protoss you have to be careful with because they actually can't do that much. But Terran can do way more. Like, Terran will almost always find a way to survive on the most insane of maps. Like you think this is a problem to Atmuta? This is Tuesday for Terran. Like if you force Terrans to play on this for a year, they will start winning.
Body's like, you think this is wild? Just wait until I make. Well, I hope you do consider making maps. It would be pretty cool to have, top-notch player, Terran player making maps. Isn't that crazy, guys?
That
like
would
a really
be
good
terrible
Terran player.
People think.
All right, next map, guys. Guess that map.
Dude.
Map.
This. Okay.
Paradiso.
I don't think it's Sniper Ridge because although it has
This map is
ridges,
called Paradiso, I think.
like it's a little too different to be that. You know what I mean?
It's not snipers,
El
right?
autor,
It's a bit older, I think.
este mapa es de
very similar, even in some
Jojo
decorative
de-
aspects and stuff, to the original so it should be easily recognizable.
I just never played on it then.
Funny enough, I was gonna. Oh, okay.
Wow, this is really similar. I've never played on this.
Este mapa es de Suricata, nuestro amigo de Estados Unidos,
But
Suricata.
I mean, that's really similar.
All right, if everybody gives up, anybody in the chat playing Guess That Map? No, they are not. Completely useless chat as always.
Oh my god, Dante's.
What?
Yeah, I knew this. Oh my
Did you
god.
though?
Yeah,
How
I've
did you?
played so many games on this map.
Yeah, I played on
This
that
was-
too.
We
This
got
was,
an interview with the map maker soon. Watch out.
How did I forget this, dude?
This was this was like an iCup map of the season, I think. one
Yeah.
season.
It was
Yeah.
really popular on iCup.
Ah, está el mapa, es Paradiso. Paradiso de Suricata. Y está basado en Dante's Peak de Esquivei.
There were some problems with the original that make it not really balanced in today's meta, and I just
Dice que había unos problemas con el mapa original porque Dante's Peak no era un mapa balanceado.
Fit with today's meta that you fixed and stuff.
so bot right. It's difficult to wall as Terran.
Es difícil hacer el wall-in en la top right, es decir, arriba a la derecha. Para los Terran era complicado.
To defend them against drops and mutas, and then
Yeah.
the layout of the center, it's not completely symmetric. So I fixed that in my remake, and then also
Claro, también no era
the
completamente
triangle
simétrico, que es
bases on low
importante que tengan
ground,
las medidas
you
parecidas a
keep
algunas
them
zonas para que sea
from the
más
high
justo
ground
también.
that's next to them, so I pushed them a bit farther away from the high ground. And there were a
Did you
few
make
other
this
balance changes.
completely from scratch?
If you
Yeah.
know a bit about the history of this map, those triangle bases were actually more of an afterthought that were added later to the map to balance it in some way or other, and it shows. I mean, they're basically just put in there. You can easily get units get stuck in them. You can't really wall them very well, stuff like that. So I think it's a good change that they've become a bit more of proper bases in the remake.
El que está hablando es Suricata, el mismo creador del
Basically
mapa.
just a better polished Dante's Peak, but it's essentially the same map. Only real difference is the center is wider now, like bigger.
Están discutiendo sobre si el mapa es exactamente igual.
Scratch, so I know these look similar, but you know the map makers didn't take the old map file and just
Oh, I
you
know.
can't just change the. I know for
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys, but maybe some viewers out there who think you can take like an old map and just.
O sea,
like,
tienen que
change the
decidir
tile
si
sets.
cumple las reglas
But that's a compliment anyway, I mean,
del torneo, del
it's a better
concurso.
version of the original.
Y en realidad están diciendo que bueno, solamente cambia la parte del medio y
¿Es
como
ese
ha hecho los
balance map?
espacios más simétricos, tiene sentido, ¿no?
You know, I try to predict base balance and I always fail, like, because I'm thinking, like, well, if this map is 50% carry versus Zerg, and this other map just has, like, an easier fourth gas for Zerg, then surely that has to be, like, 55% ZVT or something. And then it's still, like, 60% TVC, like that. So I really
I think it's really well executed. Good job, Suri. I
Thanks.
really like this map.
I think it looks like a playable good map, and I think it's very close to the original. It's just a better version of it.
Tucking the triangle third into the cliff is a really nice touch.
All right. Should we go to the next map? Dun, dun, dun.
Bueno, vamos con el siguiente mapa.
Oh,
Oh, yo conozco este mapa.
We got a sand map.
Este mapa es de Mineral.
Now this
This
is a bit
map really-
controversial, actually.
Yeah,
Once
this
you
map
realize-
really ruffled some feathers.
Dice que este mapa es
Yeah, this map has
controversial.
always been controversial, and this remake is controversial because of that bridge.
Bueno, el remake es controversial.
Raz, do you know this
Well,
map?
Oh,
If you zoom in on the bridge,
Hey.
there's actually a mineral patch on it. So it
Ok,
is-
este es el remake de Blue Storm, pero no lo han hecho en Twilight, o sea, en este terreno azul, sino lo han hecho en terreno desértico. Una locura.
Who made
Yep.
this map? Yeah, I played some games for you on this map.
Nice.
Is that like an overmind on the high ground? Like what is
Cool
that?
Um, oh, so I made the map a little bigger. The original was 128 by 96. So there's a lot more area on the high ground. So I added that gap, that little little pocket
Oh,
there
yeah,
just to make it a little more chokier for Zergs.
It's funny when you change the
Okay,
tile
okay.
set. Like you're like, wow, like this map looks so familiar. What is this? But in your brain, you're thinking like desert terrain maps. You're like, oh my god, I don't know what it is, but it's the old blue
Okay, this
story.
is really interesting. Like, you've obviously changed some stuff, but like you've kept the Windows Spirit in a way. Like the mineral field on the bridge, so it starts out the same, but then you can open it. That's pretty cool.
So the mineral patch, I think it's 250 or 300, so it takes 3 or 4 minutes to mine it out.
Yeah, good. It should stay the same for a while. You know, that means it's.
I basically made that decision because just so Terran can get back to their base quicker if they get recalled.
Yeah, okay.
Just more options late game.
Yeah, there's also 2 extra bases, so this is a lot more macro-ish than the original, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
In a long game, at least.
And a gas at that third.
Oh yeah,
it's a half gas. It's got like 1500.
So it's a half, yeah. So you still have to struggle a little bit to get a fourth proper, yes.
Gracias por vernos de Cuba. Muchas gracias.
The map steal. It's a very long, drawn out game is put on this map, that's for sure.
Yeah, like this map actually eventually became Protoss favored later on. Like after it was used like mainly, and the way Protoss was just take half the map.
So that's why I made it a little more choky, like splitting up the large ramp in the center to 2 big ramps, just so you can actually hold a position a little better. Because Protoss is, you know.
Well, it would be cool to see this in BSL.
This is a cool remake.
This is a cool map. Yeah.
And I like that you changed the front a little bit. I think it's a little easier to wall PVZ because
oh yeah, that was crazy.
playing against 9 pool speed, you had to go forge double cannon like by the. It was always a nightmare. If you were off by like a half a hex on a cannon, then you couldn't reach the lings that are in your mineral line and going into your main. So I think that's definitely a huge improvement to the map.
Probably the biggest change would be that Terran can't siege the natural from the center of the map. Some players don't like that, and some do.
Oh, I forgot about that, dude. But that's actually a big change. Yeah, that's controversial.
I mean, you can still siege like the front of the natural, but you can't siege the mineral line anymore.
Yeah, right. So two-stack activity is not going to be a thing.
You can still contain them on the other side of the bridge, kind of.
Yeah.
My only concern is I think like one of the defining features of this map is not reproduced in the new version.
Which one do you have in mind? Yeah.
That would be the Kakaroo. I don't see the Kakaroo in this new version.
Unbelievable.
So I'm dismayed. You better add that Kakaroo in there, bro.
It's a desert map now. Shouldn't it be a scanted instead?
Yeah, but do we really want like a ground ritter wandering into your base and blocking your exit?
All the critters disappeared. What the fuck happened? I feel like KM ruined it for everyone. He had those bears on Polypoid. And then I feel like there was a big backlash about that. And then like critters, I just saw them disappear completely.
Do you remember Panda Bear back on the Andromeda? Do you remember that?
I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah. Panda Bear guy.
Yeah, Panda Bear guy. Yeah, that's it. Not bad. Thanks. Anyway, so a bit of a controversial remake, but it looks like a good map. Because you can't siege, the natural over the ridge, but
Earth Attack wasn't too stoked about me remaking this map without asking.
Okay. Did he say something to you and your mother?
Yeah.
Or I think there's just like they don't allow modifications sometimes.
I'm happy with
but
it.
modification means
people originally make a map get upset if people touch their map for is that a thing?
Original maps always have to be allowed. Like, what you can't do is modify the file and release it, because they own that. But you can't own a concept, dude.
Okay. Or just curse people.
Yeah, if we were talking about legal ownership, I mean Blizzard or whatever, Activision, Microsoft would own everything, right?
That's controversial as well.
What? Gift subs. game, man.
Wouldn't really hold up in court in most jurisdictions, I guess, because it's someone else's work actually. So just because they own part of the tools doesn't mean they own.
So I did
the
add
work.
4 bases to this map.
Thanks, game.
And I don't know. I figured adding more bases just won't like split the map as easy. It just gives you a lot more options to expand. I've seen people like say top right expand from their natural to the center expansion and like work their way up to 12. I don't know, just trying to give options. A lot of stuff to do.
Because it did become Protoss' favorite PvC, and it was done in a very boring way, where Protoss literally just took half the map and set. And like, I mean, we don't want that. So more bases I can get down.
Being able to open the bridge is supposed to kind of buff Protoss a little bit. It is what I was thinking. So Terran can actually get back to their base quickly if they need to, without going all the way around later on.
All right,
I don't
guys.
think it was Protoss' favorite versus Terran, but your map is going to be better in that matchup.
We have to move on to the next map.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Here it is.
Cool.
Any idea what map this is inspired by?
This map was in TSL.
Yeah, the first TSL. Yeah, I'm with you.
What year is this?
That's from 2008.
Was it in WCG as well?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so you guys recognized it. I mean, I would say it looks so different, like the colors of the tile sets, but I guess the main conceptual features are the same, right?
Yeah, the aesthetic is very different, but
right?
the main features, like the center and the main and natural layouts, are the same.
It's a bit more cramped, I have to say. It's not as open.
Answer we were looking for.
Yeah, Withering Heights. Yep. Was this a Protoss map back in the day?
Withering Heights. Yeah, I think this was a decent Protoss map because of I think it was a little harder for Terran to push out for their third gas.
And how did Protoss do against Zerg on it? Was it balanced or?
I don't remember.
Anyway, the new one. I mean, they really closed it off a lot, but other than that, it's the same.
I think elevators
or
are
is
really
it just
popular.
the tile set? Because sometimes I see like the tiles and I'm like, oh, it looks a little
but
tighter.
I think
but
there is the base or the third gas choices still suck in most situations because everything is so open. Not as open.
You don't
as
get the double gas.
Map.
Okay, that's a big.
You couldn't really get the double gas in the original either because it
was an island basically,
it's
right?
beneath a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. And they added a ramp to that, which is he added a ramp to that. Like I just noticed. Notice the ramp to the center bases, so they're not really like islands or whatever you want to call them. I guess you could walk in, but like you can defend them basically. You're not just gonna get siege or stormed or lurker.
And just my only qualm with this remake is the center ramps connecting to those bases.
Yeah. I mean that changes it a little bit. Also, no double gas.
I just remember having map control and being able to control the middle was the most important thing.
Yeah, but I think that you can't really do this concept with all the gas concentrated in such a small area in the center with a cliff overlooking everything.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work out well.
Do you think he did the best
because,
he could?
You know, if you've got a Terran army up there, then you control the whole center, if you can get that far as Terran. Or if you have, like, lurker fields up there, or Protoss with storms, it's always the same, it's just not going well.
I have some concerns about the tile deco. I think it's disorienting for a player, right? So I wish he was a little bit more liberal when he was decorating his tiles. I mean, I like it as a viewer, but I imagine as a player, it's just like, what's going on here? You know, this part of the map that's colored so funky.
Yeah, that's kind of zombies deco style.
It is, right? Like it's got the zigzags and stuff.
Like cramming as many different terrain types.
By the way, guys,
areas as possible.
he submitted like 40 maps, 30 maps. I don't know.
24.
What?
He's like the DJ Khaled of
24,
map
I
makers.
think, and 18 of those are approved. So
Big shout out to him.
Well, I think he can take aesthetic liberties. I think the gameplay is the most important when you remake. Like, you can even change the tile set. So if he enjoys Baroque aesthetics, I think that's okay.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. I have noticed in the past map makers they did some beautiful like deco work. I'm thinking of Coral Shallows. Was that what it was called? By Freakling and Minerals. And I remember I think ASL admins were looking at that map and I think they liked it, but they're like too much deco or you know. And it's a beautiful map if you look at it. It's not disorienting, but there seems to be this I think norm of just like really playing, and it's a shame because I think we should have a greater appreciation for deco. So yeah, I think there's
the
limits
phrase
to
that they used was staring at this map makes me dizzy.
Yeah, they said it makes them dizzy, and the map was really messy.
which is a shame
mean-
because you guys have really developed like deco, you know, skills and whatnot, like techniques, adding new things, but I think there's diminishing returns when it comes to that. If you're trying to get maybe to the ASL level, the foreign community might be more open to it, but I suspect some players would complain about even like really beautifully done minimalist deco that's different from like, you know, most maps they play on.
It's a good thing to know, to maybe make like a minimalist version, because there's a minimalist culture of aesthetics in ASL. If you're trying to get in there,
Yeah,
maybe,
you might be. That might be a Korean thing, right? Or
not
like,
necessarily though. It depends. I mean, it's just certain map makers that get away with it.
fair enough. But I was also thinking minimalism in their culture. Like I know that's a big thing in Japanese culture.
Oh, Japanese art actually is pretty minimalist, and I think it looks. I mean, I personally like it, like their paintings and stuff. It is pretty minimalist actually.
Minimalist
Very
music.
clean,
I'm thinking of. I think there's some of that in Korean culture as well. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. Anyways, big shout out to Zombie. We'll see some more submissions by him. New map. Can you guess this map? It was in your original StarCraft map file.
Yeah.
Made by Blizzard. I think we all played on this map.
This was, by the way, the most requested map that we review today.
There's the original by Blizzard.
Oh, and I think this was also in the ASL test map selection this year.
Random guy must have made this in
Was
like
it
10
really?
minutes.
Wow.
It wasn't in the pack they released, but they might have
No,
played it.
not in the final maps, but they tested it out.
That's kind of cool. I like the ties you guys forged with the ASL community. That's huge. I don't think the foreign community's ever had any kind of connection or, you know, influence pro gaming scene.
Okay.
So good for you guys.
So we all know what this map is. It's obviously Challenger, but I think it's an interesting. He had to change a lot, obviously, not because Challenger is so imbalanced, but because like even if it were or is balanced, like the games would just be slow or boring. But notice the creep. If you go to a spawning location at the top and you go to the left, you'll see there's some creep there. And I think he put that in because it's difficult for Zerg to get a fourth gas. So he actually wants them to be able to Nidus expand. You know?
Is that right? Anybody know?
Yeah, that's correct. That's why it's there. I did see a game with, I think it was DeWalt versus Zeke on this, where Zeke used a Nidus to backdoor DeWalt's base.
Yeah.
It was DeWalt and Fangzi, the Chinese
Oh, it was
guy.
fancy. Okay.
But yeah, that was a really good game.
That was a good game.
This is a really nice map.
I think Zerg needs it on this because if it weren't there, like getting a full gas would just not be. It would be a struggle. So I'm okay with it.
You can get the close gas though, because it's got a bridge on this version.
Well, the third gas is fine, yeah. But the fourth gas, I mean, how would you get your fourth base without the Nidus? And interestingly, I think a lot of what we're going to see actually is like Zerg is going to knight us both expansions. So you're really going to have to leave a unit there, like you leave a Dragoon or something. But then Zerg can like snipe it with his Mutilusks. It's going to be pretty interesting. But yeah, I believe in this map. I think it's good.
Is Zerg OP on this map?
No, I don't think so. I really don't.
What do you think, Raz? I think Raz can see himself getting owned on this map. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Look how how bland it looks.
Yeah, there's nothing on it. It's so barren.
I like Maz's choice here.
Like a Blizzard map.
This offer here. You can only go up from the original version, right? There isn't that much to compete with.
Do you remember Boxer played versus a blind guy on this map?
Get the fuck out of here. That was the thing?
Yeah, really.
Boxer was blindfolded, and he ended up taking his blindfold off to win.
Yeah, he was getting smacked, actually, by the blind guy.
Oh. He was playing a blind person, and he blindfolded himself.
Yeah, that was the event, yeah. But then he cheated.
It was on
blindfold off.
How PC that is these days. That's really interesting. Okay, I gotta check a YouTube of that.
I want to say something about the original before we move on. The original would actually not be that imbalanced. Actually, I know it sounds insane. Like the games would be boring, but you could actually play it because Zerg would go 2-edge Muta with the hatch on the gas, and actually be able to sunken the entrance. Terran would just be fine. Protoss versus Zerg, you could actually wall off. Like, I actually checked out the walls on the original for some reason, just for fun. And I found out that you could actually play this map. Every match would be playable.
Using today's meta. So you can wall off with the pylon, gateway.
Yeah, you can. And then you're going to play like 1 base 2 gas. Like, I'd probably go Corsair Reaver, take the island. Might even be Protoss favorite, actually. It might.
Whoever designed this was a genius. We need to find that developer.
Basically, everyone playing this map back in the day, they knew it was actually one of the better maps that existed. It really was.
It's probably like a janitor who worked for Blizzard. And he just like got on someone's computer and made a map.
Yeah.
Put it in the map. Alright, should we move on? Next map. Okay.
Oh, what's this? Okay, I'm thinking, what's that map with like the if it's that map, he took a lot of liberties, but like it's an old map played in like 2000. You don't really get a natural expansion except you have like a cliff natural, basically. Yeah, that's the one exactly. It's called a jungle story or something.
Body's like cheating here. Did you get it? Oh shit.
Yeah, okay. Jungle story.
Is Jojo here?
I'm here.
How are you, man?
I'm good, thanks.
And quiet.
Yeah.
So,
very bold of you to leave the tankable main. Oh no, there's a ramp. Oh, but still, you can still tank that. You can't walk up to that base, can you?
You can walk up the cliff, but you can't take the base. It's still an island.
Yeah.
Right, so
But
you can still
kind of defend the cliff by going up the ramp.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But that's still bold to keep that in. I respect that.
Yeah, I thought it was like a key feature of the map. Like, it would be very, very different if not keeping it.
Why did you choose this map to recreate?
It's a really old school map, and I felt the challenge to like remake it.
Okay. Diplomatic answer.
Well, I mean, you had to add like a natural, right? Which you did.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you kept. It's pretty faithful, you know. You just added a natural, pretty much.
Yeah, I tried to keep some of the decoration for nostalgic feeling and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, and you added a mineral field so Terran can't just lift. Like, that is why Zerg was such trash in a map like this, because Protoss and especially Terran are just so much better at expanding to islands, dude. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and actually, me who played Devolt not so long ago, the game went really interesting. So hope more games will be played on it.
So wait, let me get this right. Jojo, you play Zerg, right?
Yeah.
And you made it so that Terran or Protoss can't expand on these islands?
Dude,
Is that right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, this is
You
just
have to do it.
such
You have to.
bullshit.
Terran is just too strong. Otherwise, like you.
So-called impartial map makers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's you have to do it.
I thought Zerg had the floating drone trick.
Not anymore. Man.
Isn't that a part of the game now?
That was patched
Blizzard
out,
has
man.
refused to fix it for so long, it just becomes like a part of build order.
Yeah, like you could like take both islands and lost them, but like it was so stupid, dude. Oh man. Anyway, I think this map is. I mean, I think it's okay as a map, and I think it's as faithful as it could have been, while still not sucking, you know, balls. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'll play on it.
Good job. We will be organizing test games in all these maps, by the way, guys, and maybe bug you guys, Raz, Body, others to play best of 3s, best of 5s, stream them if you want, and then we'll pick the best games and stream them ourselves. The test games are really designed to, like, you know, reward map makers for making the games, but also to see how they play out, especially featuring like SA rankers, and also to give voters, I guess, some sense of how the maps look like inside a game, so that they can vote on their favorite maps. So we'll be doing that soon. All right, our next map. It's a blue map. Guess that map.
Oh, is this the map of high and nuked Freon? No, it's not. No, it's not that one.
Body was like 9 years old when this came out,
Maybe.
and somehow he still remembers.
I think this is the map he nuked Freon, actually. Yes. It's called like triathlon or something.
Starting to hate your muscle memory, Body. Very jealous. Can't find my fucking socks. I'm serious from yesterday.
I just saw the eggs and I was like, yeah, that's it.
Alright, what's this called?
Yeah, I got it.
Why? Oh, we got a interview with him coming out soon. Map name is Cheer Up by Lucifer Bashkor. I believe he's a South Korean map maker. Map makers in the chat, like, what do you guys think about this?
The original was Protoss favored in PvT. I don't know about Zerg's matchup. I think. Because it was like carries and recalls were just like kind of good.
This is actually one of the... Like, the deco is much more plain, isn't it? Than the original in some ways. Kind of like that. You know?
Yeah, it's more Baroque now.
He went kind of backwards in that sense, but
yeah,
it's different. Sorry, I'm not focusing on like conceptual gameplay things because I'm pretty ignorant.
Okay, so basically, it's better for Terran because they added like a fourth base. Like you can just walk out from your natural and get a base. So it is way better for TVP now than it used to be. In the original, you just kind of got your 3 bases and that was it.
Alright, I'm back here. Wow. This is the... I feel like a lot of the maps, when they get remade, they're brighter, but this one seems to be darker.
Yeah. It's just
I don't know if that's something. Yeah, I just feel like usually when we see them, they're like brightened up, and this one's like actually gone the other way.
Yeah, it looks like the old one is the new one. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the saturation you use when you make your image.
Okay, so like, what was wrong with the original, and what's, I guess, PvT inbound or something? I don't know. It wasn't really placed, so we can't really say.
I feel like there's another map that's like this as well. I'm trying to think of it. It's a desert tile set that has like the chrysalis and they're cloaked.
Is that Desert Fox?
It might be Desert Fox.
It looks to me like he basically just added an easier base to take and made the center more cramped. So it's basically helping Terran first. And other than that, it's quite faithful.
We love helping Terran, you know?
Yeah, because that race needs help.
We know helping Terran.
Alright. But yeah, honestly, I can't comment because I don't even know if the original was imbalanced or not. Like, it wasn't played that much. But yeah.
Alrighty.
Next map?
Sure.
Well, first thing, I really like how some of these map images are brighter. It's easier to see. I love the kangaroos. Abundance of kangaroos around the map. That's awesome.
I have a guess, but I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
Is it Valhalla? No.
Oh my, it's this? I would never have guessed it's this map, dude. Never.
No.
So I guess the author fails in some ways to achieve that nostalgia effect. So it's based on... You guys wouldn't have drawn this.
Wouldn't have gotten that.
I mean,
thought
now that I look
Valhalla
at it,
because of the base setup. That's like the new one. Like
I think the deco in the middle might make it even harder to recognize this map.
yeah. I mean, it's close enough, like, because the expansion layout is exactly the same, really, so that's quite faithful. It's just the center terrain was changed. But as I said before, I guess I'm okay with that. Like,
Really nice looking
not really.
map. I wonder though if it's like map makers here, like Jojo. What do you think when you see the new version? Would it remind you of the old one? That was kind of a big thing of the contest. It was like, hey, if somebody sees the new version, it should bring to mind the old one. But I don't know how well known this old version was, and whether it resembles this new one. The skull, the S in the middle.
Yeah, the raised jungle is maybe a libertine taken.
He doesn't have the trees in the middle. The trees actually matter because you can put siege tanks and lurkers under them. Like, it's actually a big deal. So to not have that matters.
Oh, that's interesting.
If he had just added the extra center expansions, but then kept the trees in the middle, I think I would have recognized this.
Oh my god, I see a lot more other critters. There's bears. There's the fucking like scorpions. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's a good looking map though.
Yeah, it is.
The corner bases are the most identical.
Is this a knight chess piece? This looks like a starfish. Not sure what this blob is. It's kind of
art.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This map was apparently disliked by Protoss users. Like, teams in Pro League never sent Protoss out. And now that they've added like a bit of a third base you can take, I think Protoss is going to have a better time.
Yeah, I wonder how hard it is to SimCity the naturals. That
Right,
yeah. Like, PvZ might have been very difficult, especially then when those types of things were just being developed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell from the map, but just fixing that could be huge.
Yep. I think actually have an egg behind the natural minerals as well. So running around with silos or links will be different there.
Oh, another huge thing they did is, he added a ramp to your main, obviously. So, like, I guess like 10, 15 goons, like, not gonna be as good, maybe.
So with this terrain, that ramp does not actually change height. It's at the same height level as the natural. It just is a tighter choke point.
Right. That's a good point. Why not? But at least, it still helps that it's tighter. That's still a big deal. But yeah, basically the only problem with the original is that Protoss was just never sent out on it. But I think today, on the new one, that would be fixed. A bit at least.
Yeah, we've seen some maps now that have like these ramps to the naturals. One that was in one of the recent leagues, it was a blue tile set. I can't think of it. 4-player map.
Ultimate Stream.
Ultimate Stream, yep. That was one
Right.
that kind of had this set up as well.
I gotta say though, like I'm okay with making the center not as buildable. Originally, you could build on all of it. That's a nerf to Terran. It's fine. I'll take it. But I think there should be trees because the trees were just like a big part of the spirit of the original. I think that you can put units under them for cover.
All
So
right.
if he would just add some trees, I'd be on board.
Get body a tree, somebody. Get
yeah.
this man a tree.
It's an interesting idea actually, because well, it's not used as much anymore, and it serves a purpose with a cover behind the trees. Could be fun.
Yeah. That's right. All right, moving on. Guess that map.
Oh, dude, I know this one. Pro tip: mute the micro. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is that a reference to July Zerg?
Yeah, in before I'm wrong, but that's my guess.
It was in the.
Did you get
What?
it right?
Holy shit! I did not get this right at all.
So, okay, maybe loses some points for mistake.
Okay, I didn't look at it that much though, so that's my bad. I should have looked at it more.
Well,
Would that have mattered? Okay, so what are those?
Yeah, it would. I jumped the gun.
2-player to 3-player though.
Yeah, he made it a 3-player version. That's pretty
I
cool.
think you were thinking of Rush Hour when you first looked at it, because that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah,
too,
Rush
but-
Hour. That's
yeah.
exactly what I thought.
But,
How many
but I
how
should
many
have looked at it
spawning
more.
positions are in Rush Hour?
3.
3.
See, I think that's the like there's a trade-off when you add a number of spawning positions or change their locations. It's
Yeah.
gonna bring to mind another map.
Yeah, but
So you lose
that was
that
mine.
sense, but you also kind of like add a new element and you make it, you know, a new map instead of being a copycat. So it seems like a trade-off when you're trying to add or change spawning locations.
well, I lazily looked at it for 5 seconds, so that was my mistake. If you actually analyze it, you're not gonna think Rush Hour. Now, when you make a 3-player version of a 2-player map, like we need to have different standards. That's always gonna be a different category, you know. And for a 3-player version of a 2-player map, let's think about this. I mean, he has the buildings, he has the minerals. Actually, there weren't any buildings originally, so that's a bit of a liberty. To be really conservative, he would have only minerals blocking every entrance. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty faithful in that you have 3 lanes to choose, right? And you gotta mine your way out, or mineral walk out.
Right.
And every lane leads to your opponent. So I really do think this is a pretty faithful adaptation.
Yeah, that's so. If those are the defining characteristics of Monty Hall, he sort of achieved that recreation.
It's a 3-player multi-haul, and then he added some destructible psi disruptors, just because he had to. I mean, it's a 3-player map, so it's different now.
This is interesting. Like to scout one of your opponents, if it's a 1-on-1, you're taking quite a bit of a risk, right? Because if he's not there, you spend some time like mining out those crystals, going to that direction.
Yeah, you don't
might
know
just
where
be
to
an
mine
empty
out.
base,
Yeah.
right?
Like you might want to mine out away from your opponent or towards your opponent, and you're gonna have to just guess at this point. Yeah. But I think it's fine because like, if both players mine out towards each other, then the game changes. Fair enough. But if you mine out toward him and he mines out away from you,
Right.
I mean, it still matters because then he can mine out from his main, I guess. So
Would it be possible to do a build where you don't want your opponent to scout inside? Like you leave the mineral crystals.
you don't mine at all.
Yeah. I don't know. You do some sort of drop build or something.
Like a 2-port Wraith or TBZ.
So
Yeah,
it
you
delayed their
could.
scout, right? They wouldn't know what you're doing.
I mean, you can push a unit out, so you can scout anyway. Actually, wait, no, because then you'd have to push again to enter the opponent. So, you know, okay. So not mining anything out. I think you always want to mine out your natural if you're taking that. To be honest. So I don't see people not mining out unless they're paying 1 base.
Right.
Because you want to connect your bases.
And he wouldn't get to your natural unless he, I guess, mined his, is it the center area?
Yeah.
That's
The main
interesting.
difference between this and the original is that in this late game, you can take the center and actually reach every part of the map from the center. Multi-Hall doesn't have a center like that. So that's the main difference. Now, he made it a 3-player map, and that's why I'm more liberal with, I'm more okay with changing that, because it's 3-player anyway.
What does chat think? Is this similar or similar? Does it achieve the right balance? It's a pretty tough thing when you really think about it and you try to make a map.
Because it's 3-player, I think he was faithful enough. You know, you're gonna have to make some changes anyway. Like, you just can't copy it.
Yeah, I think map makers tend to be a little bit more creative and want to be original. So you'll see more maps that might seem different from the original, which is a good thing.
In this case too, I think he had to change something because Multi-Hall was like a fine map anyway. Like, it wasn't never. You could literally play on it today. So why remake it if you're not going to change something?
See, that's another part of their contest. At least the rules that I interpreted and I reflected upon was: do you want to pick a map that needs to be changed and could be changed to meet today's meta? So if you look at Monty Hall and you say it could be played today, no problem, then it might not be the best map to pick to remake.
Okay, well, there's one thing people don't like, and that is what I talked about earlier, which is like, there's no center. If you take the center, like, there is no center to take. You can always just walk around your opponent. And in his version, you still keep that for a while, but then late game you don't have it anymore. So he did fix, quote unquote, that, I suppose, if you consider that a problem.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on one's interpretation of the contest rules and what you want to do. Really neat contest, if you think about it. Alright, so the next map. Is that an eagle in the center?
Island map?
Eagle-shaped island.
Okay,
This is a Nazi map.
It is.
yeah, it's like the German eagle.
It's called the Third Reich.
How do you get to your gas? Is there a ramp somewhere?
Under those Kyderin crystals in the main is a Zerg-only geyser.
Okay,
Like
okay.
on Sparkle.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Would anybody guess this?
Well, if you knew the original map, you could probably guess it.
Yeah, what's the name of the original here? I don't think I know this one. Yeah, Crimson Isles.
Okay, is this finally the moment when we get island maps right and balance them? You know,
Good question. Is it possible?
How much gas is in under the Kyderin, you know? Like, in the geyser?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Why does it matter?
Because if it's a full geyser, I think it's too Zerg favored. Like, remember Sparkle? That had a full gas, right? And that was actually a Zerg favored map. Because they went too far in the other direction. They overbuffed Zerg to overcompensate.
Sparkle
Zerg favored
had 3
against
gas for Zerg though. Here it's only 2, so might be better.
Doesn't Protoss own Zerg in Island?
By default, yeah. So
Maps,
on
right?
Sparkle,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, we're gonna give Zerg an extra gas. But that was too much. Now Zerg just owned everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, it became a Zerg favored map.
So you
But
think
like,
the key to balancing it is gas distribution?
I mean, what if you only give them like 1,000 gas? You know.
So I just checked. It's 2,000 gas under the
Okay,
Kyderin crystal.
Thank you.
Okay, so he's trying to, find the right balance. He's saying maybe 2,000 is okay.
Interesting.
And I mean, maybe it is. Maybe this is the way to finally do it. You know.
Do most players hate island maps? That's my impression.
Yes, however, they hate them because they used to suck balls. They've always been balanced. So Zerg just died to Protoss, and even to Terran a little bit, maybe. I mean, not as badly, but yeah.
I mean, Terran was. There were some island maps like Desert Fox or Hall of Valhalla, which were just very Terran favored because
True.
tanks could just cliff everything and stuff. So yeah.
I don't think there's
And
been a balance.
others were more disconnected. Pure island maps are more Protoss favored. So
Right. Yeah, Protoss favor in general, but especially against Zerg. So there's never been a balanced island map ever, I think. Semi-island maps, yes. Island maps, no. But, I mean, this might be it, so I'd give it a shot.
I mean, it's got some steps in the right direction at least. So that's all we evaluated so far.
Yeah, like, we established that you gotta give Zerg something, and we tried with Sparkle, and found out that a whole gas is too much. So maybe a 2000 gas is the right amount. Maybe. By the way, one thing he kept is, you see in the middle, there are 2 connected expansions by land. He kind of kept that a bit, where if you take the center, you can. He made them 3 instead of 2, but pretty faithful.
I mean,
regard, you know?
they aren't directly connected by land. They're just
Yeah, I know, but you can
surrounded by land where you can walk on, kind of.
Yeah.
I think this might be a bit awkward as well, because there's lots of like very tight strips of land where it's hard to move units around. Probably need some changes.
So you think you should add some more like terrain
Also,
to
it
walk
looks
on
like if you on, at least on the top right center spot, you can't build a comset as Terran.
Oh, well, if that's the case, that has to be fixed, obviously.
Can you turret properly without like spending too much on turrets? That's an issue, right, Buddy? I think you brought that to my attention when it came to Tower Cross. You were like, there's too many penetrable areas. It takes too many turrets to... Like, ideally, how many turrets do you use to block off?
Yeah, like how many turrets against mutants and shuttles? Like, that is, of course,
4, I'm
always...
guessing? 5.
Normally, the standard is you can get away with 3 turrets against shuttles. And if you want to like nerf Terran on a map, you can open the main, so you need more than that. But that's not a bad thing to do. It's just something you can use. Like if the rest of the map is good for Terran, you can open up the main in that way. This is an island map though, so I don't really think. I mean, I think it's fine to have an open.
Also, it's a 3-player map, so you can't really have mains without some exposed,
right,
or some more exposed airspaces than you would have in a 4-player mains in the corner standard map.
One thing I'm not sure about is why is the mineral field for 2 of the spawn locations facing the wall, but then the 12 o'clock is just like facing. Like, why is that not facing up? You know, isn't that like a harassability imbalance? You know.
Question. What's up with this big ass crystal? Is that a crystal?
Yeah, that's so Zerg gets a gas. Only Zerg can get that gas.
Well, like the birds
Zerg mine from it.
Alright, let's go to the next map, guys. Ooh. Snow map.
Okay. Is this that lizard map, Winter Conquest or something? No, it's
not quite.
Yeah, Blizzard wouldn't do this kind of deco, would they?
The Tower Cross tiles it.
And it's very.
Yeah, I never played on this.
Nobody's.
I missed this one.
Yeah, I don't know what this one is either. I don't think, at least. Yeah, I don't know this one.
Shout out to moderator boy. I think he's from South Korea.
But it's pretty faithful. I mean, what he changed is like you can no longer just wreck the mineral line of your opponent's natural. You know, you can't do that anymore from outside.
Yeah,
so that's probably good.
Do you guys like snow maps? Do you find them disorienting, or any complaints about that?
No, I'm fine even with the snowy snow maps. Personally, they don't hurt my eyes, so I'm okay with every concept.
I feel like Raz has strong opinions about snow maps. It's okay, man. You can express them.
No, I'm okay with the snow maps. The one, the one that has like the forest in it and stuff, kind of drive me a little crazy at times. But like where you can't see unless like with the ground units. But
the
snow maps. I feel like more players have issues with like the desert maps, the tile set that's too bright. I've heard that.
Were there
The
complaints
observers
about
over
butter?
sand tiles.
Yeah, people saying it's that the butter tile set is just so bright.
Mm.
Can't you just turn your monitor's brightness down? Like, let's see.
So I do that. Snow maps, I don't mind. I'm okay with snow maps.
What if you played with sunglasses? Is that?
Ooh,
Is
there
that
you
a-
go.
Has anyone
Also
tried
a
that?
strategy.
Does that make it worse when it's a
Elke
snow
did
map?
that actually. Have you seen like?
Yeah,
him playing with
Elke used to
Walker?
always wear glasses. That's right. Shout out to GG.
The fourth base is easier to take also on the new one. Or is it really? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's way easier. So
think
pretty faithful. Yeah.
Right now, the new one has a bit too many bases. Probably should have 2 bases in the center and then 2 at 3 and 9, and not like a pair of each position.
Yeah, the bases are actually insane. I think it's going to be a bit Terran favored, especially against Protoss, but in general. And Zerg is just going to lose to both races with this amount of bases. Like, remember Colosseum 1? How Terran got like 3 bases and a mineral only easily? This is giving me like Colosseum 1 vibes.
I like how the center's opened up a bit.
I agree with that, yeah.
I don't know what's in the dead center.
That's just water.
Yeah, unwalkable terrain, that's all.
Is there a point of doing that instead of just making it walkable terrain?
Well, he didn't want a completely open center, I guess.
It's also in the original, so.
Yeah.
But there are still 2 walls on the outside between those bases, so that restrict the center. I don't know. I think there should be just 1 base there and the center as wide as possible.
Yeah, I agree. He added, instead of 2 center bases, there are now 4 center bases. And it just gives Terran make too many bases, I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I predict.
You guys
And
okay with
also
the
Protoss.
islands?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
need
he
to be
added
bigger.
a mineral field on it so that you can't land the CC, so I'm okay with it.
What if it were islands and you can access it by ground?
It would be too unfaithful to the map, I think.
Add more, like, I guess, expansions.
More bases.
I mean, the original has like ice around the islands where you can drop on and then move onto the island, so it's actually not quite faithful.
Yeah, you're right. You should probably add ice around so that you can.
I mean, maybe not the whole area, but you could. There are transitions from ice to water.
Yeah.
You could basically add a little ice shelf in front of the island, something like that, where you could drop, which would actually help players to make the island more, that you could fight more over it instead of just taking it as a base.
And recalling the island gets way stronger. It actually matters for balance. And this map already looks amazing for Terran, and so we don't need to make the island harder to recall also, you know, because when you have the ice, you can just recall onto the ice and walk up. But if you have a tiny island, you can just put like a vessel or a ghost or even mine the island and defend.
Did somebody already mention, like, maybe the desirability of removing the expansion inside the main?
It's also the other way around, I think. In PvT, it's often Protoss who just gets island bases for free.
Yeah.
And Terran can't do much because cannons just shoot dropships down and stuff.
Right.
It's very hard to drop them, and if you have a little ice shelf there, then that's a staging point where you can drop some tanks and work your way onto the island. So it's overall nice for giving counterplay.
Yeah, it's more interesting for every race.
So
like
how
if
many
Terran is sitting in the center, you can elevator.
how many expansions should a map have again?
4-player maps generally have 16 expansions if they're all ground playstyle. This one has 22.
Jade only has 12, but I mean, there's a range, I guess, of bases you can go in.
It's normally between 12 and 16, maybe 17 if there's a center base like on Gladiator.
Right.
And what is the nature of games that would be created by, say, I don't know, adding only 12 expansions versus 16?
Split map. Well, it depends on the terrain too, but depending on the expansion layout, split map PvP becomes better if there are fewer bases. That's why on Fighting Spirit and Jade, for example, well, especially Fighting Spirit because of the terrain, split map is better than on, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a map with lots of bases.
Terran doesn't like a lot of bases for Protoss, right?
Yeah, I mean, Terran wins with an even number of bases, so of course fewer bases in that sense can be good for Terran. But in this case, this map is still great for Terran because you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases pretty easy, you know, and they're all gas bases. So, or are they? Is there a mineral?
I mean, no base is really far from any other. So if you get 5, you also get 6. And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
get 7. You can just slowly creep across the map and
I know, yeah.
take all the bases. So that's generally very good for Terran.
Do they have gases? I don't know if this
There's
is
a mineral only actually in the new one.
Against Protoss with mech.
Okay, so he added a mineral only below the ramp. Your natural third is a mineral only, but that natural third leads to a full gas base, like right next to it. So who cares? You know.
Okay, let's go to the next map. And 3-player map.
Oh yeah, this is a Longinus remake.
Say is launches.
Really?
Just run around.
Yeah.
You guys got it. All right, so 4 points
Oh, interesting.
to the guy who created this. He made Butter. Big shout out to him.
Cool. Oh, Kukula's. Oh no, that's back in the day. I'm sorry. Hose. Okay.
Butter was submitted to the last New Worlds map contest.
Oh,
So,
really? That's pretty sick.
Yeah, and I think the first one, Largo and Goodnight submitted. So far in all the seasons, ASL has adopted
Very
our map,
nice.
which is really cool. Yeah, congratulations to the map making community. So, what do you guys think of this?
Okay, well, apparently he didn't like the double gas.
I was gonna
Thought
say
those were a
that too.
problem.
Yep.
And is that too unfaithful to the original? And were the double geysers a problem? What do you think?
I mean, the original original didn't have the double geysers. Those were only
Wow. Thanks, I didn't know that.
edited in the like second or third like updated version.
Longinus 3 or whatever, Longinus 2.
Yeah. So in that regard, also is it really the double gas, or isn't like just the overall spaciousness of that base maybe more characteristic?
That is also a care. I mean, okay, apparently since the double gas wasn't there from the start, which I didn't know, the true spirit of the map, I suppose, is that it's like a tiny ramp but huge area, you know, which we no longer have, of course. We got a mineral only in the old one, but a full gas base now as your third.
I guess
So-
there technically are the same amount of gases, right? Because he just turned the double gas into 1 and then added a gas. in
Yeah,
third.
yeah.
So technically, there's the same amount of geysers on your side, which makes it a little bit easier, I guess, to play. I feel like there's almost like an added ramp for like the fourth, like above and below the bases over there.
He opened up the map so that there are more paths now.
Yeah.
Originally, if you take the center with lurkers, so first people thought, oh, this is a Protoss map because you get so many Templar and Archons with the gas. Then people realized, actually, if you just spam lurkers and you take the center, it's actually really oppressive. So now you can't do that anymore because you can walk around the center.
Yep.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it's probably a fine map, to be honest. But I don't think it's very faithful. I think it's very, even though I recognize it, I don't think it's very similar to the original. And I don't think he needed to change it this much. Like, he made a good map, so that's fine. But it's not really a Longinus map.
Yeah,
in my
I also think it's really not so great that the space usage is, well, it's actually worse than the original here.
You mean in the
Because
corners?
the spacious spaces are gone, and I mean, he really doesn't use the space well. There could easily have been another expansion, like the real modern blueprint for a 3-player base layout is basically what Sylphid, for example, does, which has one extra base, and could easily have done this here, and instead there's just huge water bodies
Is there any function there?
only in the corner at the left. So
Is it for like carriers to just like sit around and tease Terran, or is there
It
any
matters.
use at all?
well,
It's
I mean,
just dead
it's
space
the
to
only
keep the
use
map
you can
symmetric.
get out of it. So
This is actually reminding me of like the original Luna, where like some spots have way more dead space around them than others, and it causes like actual imbalance.
Hmm.
I'm kind of getting that vibe here, where like the bottom right is way easier to defend against recalls than the left.
Yeah,
mid,
that's true.
Which in the original you don't actually have, even though it's a 3-player map. The original is actually more balanced in that regard. Positionally.
A lot of people seem to like this map. Did you guys enjoy playing on it back in the day?
Longinus, it was fine. It was interesting.
I mean, Longinus is one of these older maps that's still picked up from time to time
Yeah.
by some leagues and stuff nowadays. So it's definitely still a pretty popular map.
It's Dandy's favorite map. Ruby and
Dandy,
Terran.
you want to be a cell, right? Dandy.
I'm not sure. Maybe one of the original one. I don't know if like way earlier.
Anybody know if this map was balanced?
It
Seen stats
had
on it?
periods where one race had it was Terran versus Zerg favored for a while, but that was like the meta in general at the time. But then Savior beat everyone anyway.
Somebody told me this was made to, I don't know, Zerg was the reigning champ, and it was to like advantage Terran. Am I getting it right? Maybe that's wrong.
Yeah, but then it had those double gas bases, which Zerg could just make very good use of.
Against Terran,
So-
especially, yeah. I don't know what the balance was like, but I think it was good enough, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very popular map for so long because I think it is actually pretty balanced
It
That's
got
kinda
more
cool.
balanced as people learned it too.
for a
Like
long while.
Is that
balance
pu-
on map changes over time.
is that pure chance that a map could be produced a long time ago and it's still balanced and playable in today's meta? Or was that map maker, I don't know, seeing it?
No, I mean,
How do you explain that?
basic formula hasn't changed that much. You get your wallable naturals. You get like a safe third base for Zerg to take. Some other stuff. I don't know. Probably not as easy a third base for other races here, but you get a mineral only. I mean, it's not like the fundamentals have changed that radically since then. So it's more like if you have a map from before, like 2007, 2006, like that doesn't even have proper naturals that you can wall and stuff, then it gets more problematic.
Yeah, the thing is, Protoss needs 2 gas to fight against Zerg. Otherwise, they just can't do it, because Zerg goes Spire and Hydrogen at the same time, and Protoss doesn't have enough gas to fight Lurkers and Mutas and Scourge. Like, that's the problem. So Protoss needs a second gas somehow. Now, the traditional way to give them that is, of course, to let them wall off a natural expansion. But you could also do it by having no natural, but an inside expansion. Like, imagine if Odyssey didn't have the natural below the ramp, it would still be okay for Protoss, because they could just block the ramp with Zealots and take their inside expo. So somehow you have to give Protoss a second gas.
And it's become
Because
a
Zerg
thing.
is always going to take it.
It's become a thing to add a third gas, right, to the third or second expansion within the past few years, I feel.
You mean not having mineral onlys, or?
Yeah, I thought there's a move away from that. What was that map 2 years ago? The blue map that a gas was added to the third. There were a lot of complaints about it. It had the backdoor expansion. It's in the
like
ASL
Byzantium
letter.
or something? I don't know. Sorry.
What map name did you say?
I said Byzantium. That had a back.
Medusa.
No,
Oh,
it was just from 2 years ago or whatever.
Okay.
It was a blue map with the.
yeah.
Yeah, he came out with a new version and added a gas to the second expansion. I thought around that time I was seeing a trend where like gases were being added to the mineral onlys, and that's become like a thing now.
Which season of ASL was that?
No, that wasn't
Bloom.
Medusa.
Ringing
that was
Bloom.
Ringing Bloom.
Yeah, that's
Ringing
the-
Bloom, you got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but you needed actually that gas because Protoss was getting wrecked by Zerg on that dude. So Protoss really needed that gas on the third. I'm telling you, that was a good change.
I thought Terran also benefited from it. Seems like
Coincidentally, yes, Terran did, which maybe wasn't the goal, but it was still overall worth it.
that's like a balance thing though, right? To add the gas there, it doesn't really make it OP for me. All right, let's go to the next map. Here it is. What is
Oh, dude, is this Arkanoid?
Arkanoid? Yeah, it looks like Arkanoid.
it? Oh my god, you guys got it.
Okay, so what did he actually do? This is like a little difficult to read. Let me see.
Oh, it's Freaklings.
Oh, freaking sick, dude.
Let him have it, buddy. Don't worry that he's listening.
It looks like it's not as... Okay, you can't open as many paths anymore. Which means late game it's not going to be as open. That's what it looks like. Oh, also, there's no chrysalis blocking.
you can actually open the map up a lot more than the original. There's a lot less unwalkable terrain.
Oh, I didn't see some of the regenerators because they were on the gray.
What you can do now is, maybe that's not so obvious, if you look at the diagonals, there's some installation gates in between, like on, for example, what's it called, Fortress. You know, the gates where you can drill workers through. So now every race can actually scout the whole map.
Okay.
By going into the center and then into the enemy base there. So Protoss doesn't have to play blind anymore.
Okay. So it's less of an island map, actually, than before.
I've never seen a brown map before. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a winter without the grass. That's pretty sick. That's like a new tile set we haven't seen before. Cool.
Why would you recreate this map? Very experimental.
Aside from Katrina, this is the other map that really influenced me back then. Katrina is more on the like aesthetic design side of things. This one, of course, is pure or at least the original is pure mechanics. The layout per se isn't that spectacular, of course, but it was just a very radical map back at the time, and actually, well, it was interesting that a map like that could actually play out pretty well, at least back then. I think nowadays the balance is really off. Just look at the recent ASL, but yeah, it was a pretty cool map back then.
So when I read your descriptions of like after you submitted your maps or whatever, you sort of provided rationale for why you chose the map and things you improved upon. Am I right to assume that like you picked maps that you thought they're cool, sentimental, whatever, but they weren't playable as much in today's meta, and that you could try to solve that problem and make them balanced? And
yeah,
playable?
I mean, there's the
that's quite the challenge.
All these aspects, of course. I mean, if it's just for maps to pick for purely sentimental reasons, yes, I'd pretty much have picked the same in Katrina and Arkanoid, of course, because, as I said, these are maybe the most influential ones back on me back in the day when I really started to seriously create maps. Aside from that, yes, there's of course the aspect of these are actually not very well balanced and very well made by today's standards anymore. So there was a lot of stuff that I could improve, of course. Yes.
What are some of the major ones that you think you fixed that makes this map balanced or playable today?
You added more expos, do you see that?
Yeah, there's some more expo choices. Protoss isn't screwed over in any possible way, basically. Like, I mean, I never understood how they could add these brights and lights in the original, because all that really does is Protoss already, even back then, Protoss actually had it the hardest on the map, because of lack of scouting. And those just screw over Protoss. Because Terran can just build their CC
Yeah.
next to it and then lift off, and Zerg can build extra hatches, no problem. And has super steep Zerglings to kill those things very quickly. And Protoss just look at the games from the last ASL. They played out exactly like you would expect. Protoss is just screwed over by that. Additionally to how hard it is for them to play the map already, because it's exactly not an island map, but a ground map where they have to play blind, more or less. So
Well, Protoss versus Zerg, I can see, like, it's better for Zerg economically because they can just make an act. But Protoss versus Terran...
and Zerg has all the scouting, and Zerg has initiative. And if Zerg decides just to rush Zerglings, rush Hydras, rush anything, and break the Protoss, then the Protoss can't really do much, and Protoss has to defend 3 chokes and stuff like that. It's very, very hard.
Yeah, okay, so good point on ZVP. But Protoss versus Terran, was that really a problem? Because I've seen some recent games, and I've seen Protoss win, like, either with carriers or just standard, like, mass gateway storm, like...
Yeah, no, PvT is not that much of a problem, but
I think that's what
ZVP,
just terrible.
So this was an ASL, right? That makes this choice kind of interesting too. Coincidence, I guess. And did you watch some of those pro games, frequently, to kind of see what sort of issues and stuff, and that informed like changes and stuff you made, right?
Yeah, I mean, the issues, particularly the PvZ issues, weren't that surprising. So
Protoss can scout now, which is a big deal with the pro. Like, if Zerg can scout what Protoss can't, that is actually a little bit messed up. So you did fix that. That's good.
I mean, I wonder how many map makers actually watched old games on those maps and, like, I don't know, extracted insights from them. But maybe you don't even need to do that, right? Just look at the map and figure out, well, there's a problem here, there's a problem there.
Also, maybe that's not as clear to see just from the picture, but my map actually has some high and low ground going on in the center.
Okay, yeah.
Because I thought I wanted to make the map to play out a bit more interesting once the buildings are destroyed. Because the original, when you destroy the buildings, then it basically turns into a more or less open area where you just move units around. It's actually a pretty boring map in that regard, and mine actually offers some positional choices when the buildings are down. So yeah,
the center base helps Terran late game. I think it's pretty cool.
Raz is pretty quiet. Don't worry, Raz. We're gonna organize some playtests featuring you and Siki.
Play some maps. Oh, Siki. Monster.
Starburst.
Monster.
Alright, next map. What do we got? What is this?
Dude.
What
this?
Is this?
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. No, that's not it. Never mind. I was gonna say core home
interesting thing is this is from the same batch of maps that Arkanoid was from. I think even from the same author.
Okay.
So back then, in things were a bit crazy. And what was it? Pro League? Not sure anymore.
Raz, does this?
Man. I was thinking of the map that was actually like rotated the other way, where your base is.
Oh, I know this one. I know this one.
This one was in ASL not too long ago as well.
This was exactly that's the one. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Hitchhiker,
god. Okay, I didn't even. The blue in the middle messed up my mind of like looking at the map.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the
this
trade-offs.
is really close to the original, but it just like changes a few things. Like, actually, really faithful. Wow. It's almost the exact same, except like you can take your natural more easily.
Wall is Protoss versus Zerg.
Yeah, exactly. You get a gas also on your inside expo. And then is the ramp bigger? Actually, you see that? Like the ramp is actually wider into your main.
It's a wider ramp.
Looks like it.
But he did that to compensate for like, okay, in the past, like if you kept the ramp the same, and this could have been interesting actually, but what a lot of Protosses would do is they would just put zealots on the ramp and take their inside expo, because that's no longer a mineral only. You now get a gas for taking that.
That's true. That's a good
So
point.
now he's saying, okay, instead you got a forge expand on the bottom, I guess. Pretty much.
Yeah, you don't have to stay in your base. Zealot.
This is the author of Good Night.
Oh.
It's basically Hitchhiker, but you can take your natural more easily and you get a gas extra.
Yeah. I feel like when the tile set changes, it messes with my brain. I'm like, oh, it can't be this because it's now blue. It's
I think,
just the set.
like, I don't know about maps like you guys, but Hitchhiker strikes me as one of the most like original maps of all time.
Oh yeah, very unique for sure.
Maybe like super imbalanced, experimental, whatever you want to call it. But I'm really glad to see it in this competition.
I don't think it was that bad, right?
No, it was just a very odd map because of the center. Like attacking was very difficult in a lot of places. Like it was either you were hyper aggressive because of the 2-player map, or you had to sit there and try to like break around and play more towards the outside. Because how do you attack with an army down the center?
I think Curiosity said all the action on this map happens on the sides.
Yep.
Yeah, later on, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, because you can't fight down the... Like, I mean, how does Terran TVZ with Bio try to bust in? I feel like a lot of the TVZs were ended really quickly with, like, Zerg aggression on this map.
Also in TVZ, there was a lot of, like, factory lifts on the high ground and then vulture harassment through the vector.
And we're still gonna have that. You can still do all that stuff.
Yeah, I like this remake. This is a good one.
The original was really imbalanced. Is that right?
Honestly, man,
I don't know in favor of who.
I don't think it was that bad.
I think I pulled up the stats some time ago, and
it was very hard PVZ to like hold your
exactly.
front. Like
as Protoss.
Yeah, because it was so open there. If you look at the original, like it's very hard to make any kind of effective wall. Like you had to use a gateway and a forge and your nexus and a pylon.
The natural choke, I think, is too wide for modern standards, basically, to put up a really safe wall.
Difficult for Protoss against Zerg for sure. Now, he double fixed that by one, giving a gas on the inside expo, so you don't even have to bother with the widening, but then he also made the choke narrower. So Protoss is not going to have a problem at all on this anymore.
Too easy for Terran to take 3 gas and just push.
That, I was just thinking, like, maybe Terran's going to smack Protoss on this, because sure, you could go carry.
Ahí subí absolutamente todo el volumen.
Has the gas now, so it's not a problem like how it used to be. Carriers used to be strong on this because of the lack of a third gas.
Yeah, there's also multiple gas bases you can just take out of the expo now, so I think playing against that and, I don't know, trying to control the high ground will become a lot more important now.
Yeah, maybe adding those extra expos, like basically at 11 and 7, he added some expos. Maybe that's too good for Terran against Protoss, I'm not sure those need to exist, you know?
But like this is a really good recreate. This is, I think, pretty well done here.
It's very faithful. He just added an expos, changed some stuff around, but it's recognizable.
You got some competition, Freakling. Freakling and Hyojin, is that how you pronounce it? Made cross game. I don't know if you guys remember that map.
Yeah, I remember that. It was on the ladder.
Yochin.
Did I say right? Alright, new map. Looks like a dragon head in the center.
Yeah.
Angry dog.
First I thought Othello, but it can't be Othello.
Por ejemplo, en este caso se va a ver un mapa hecho por... Este mapa lo hizo Massition. Es un mapa también especial. Y lo vamos a ver en RISS, en una de las playoffs. Solamente que la parte central va a ser modificada. Para que podamos disfrutar este mapa con el logo de RISS. Es una locura. Locura. Así que bueno, ahora van a decir que es el mapa de Massition. Y lo vamos a tener en el canal. Ahí está, el mapa original es U-Boat de Drankenbeard. Y este es el nuevo mapa de Massition. Se llama Rudel Tactic.
Shout out to Maz. I think his map Red Eagle, is that what it's called? Got accepted into ASL season 15.
Red Eagle was considered, but it didn't end up getting accepted.
Oh. Well, it's still pretty cool.
Red Eagle is being used in a different pro league though with all the other pros.
Oh, that's cool. I
That's a
think
good
it was
map.
submitted to a New Worlds map contest last time, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it was submitted to the second one.
Yeah, we played in. I think Body played in the Red Clan Cup too, right? So you got to play do a bunch of games in the new ASL maps. That was one of the. I like that one. I like Red Eagle. I thought it was pretty good. A lot of pathways through the map, but that was a good map.
Green Map Maker, what do you guys think of this? Cool map?
I think the map is fine. I think it's gonna be balanced enough. He changed a lot, obviously, but you kind of have to, I suppose.
Dicen, ha cambiado mucho del mapa original, pero es un mapa
He
balanceado.
added the gate so you can walk out with workers, and he gave Zerg a gas. And he made the center more buildable. That's what he did.
No tienen muchos comentarios este mapa. No sé si porque están cansados ya o.
I think it's
I
just
think an island map with free scouting and in just open middle like this is probably.
Me gusta un montón y esta es una de las ideas de tener un mapa con una segunda y una tercera base como si fueran una natural. O sea, las dos son como una natural. Y... pero es un semi-isla, ¿no? Porque están tapadas las entradas.
Pure islandish as like something like Sparkle would be.
It's a semi-island map, you know, because the original is a semi-island map, and now it's even less.
I like the added pathways.
Sí, el mapa original es island como tal, o sea, isla, pero este es un semi-island porque en un island necesitas, o sea, en un mapa isla necesitas transporte sí o sí. O bueno, o otra forma, ¿no? Pero transporte o teletransportación. Pero en un semi-island puedes pasar los obreros. Not yet, but soon.
Next map?
En este mapa.
Sure.
Se va a jugar RISS.
What do we have here? Another blue map?
Bueno, el tileset en realidad se llama Twilight. Ellos dicen siempre un blue map, un mapa azul.
You guys have no idea, right?
Este mapa me gusta mucho en realidad los mapas que tienen tres, o sea, los mapas que tienen gas y mineral muy cerca en tres bases me encantan.
Okay, I didn't know we had two of these.
Como Vermeer.
The only reason I didn't say it is because we already had
DQ man, the guy who made 76.
En realidad los mapas de DQ Man, de Massician y de Steaming, que se llama...
We're not using these kind of ramps anymore though, right? How do players feel about these kind of ramps leading up to the natural?
TWD Zombie son mapas loquísimos los que hacen, muy bonitos, muy bien decorados.
I mean, it should be pointed out that the main and natural are actually the same terrain level here. It's not really low ground. It's more like the thirds, the triangle thirds on Silset, for example, or like what's this new ASL map, or not new this season, new last season.
Nemesis.
It's
the same as on Nemesis.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
So those aren't high ground, low ground. This is just one flat thing with the what looks like a ramp. Okay.
So it's
the
actually
main naturals all the same
makers
terrain
mess with my brain. I gotta remember
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
high ground, what's low ground.
The terrain that the mains made out of in the remake is the analog of the main border in the original, basically.
Yeah, okay.
So it's actually pretty truthful.
But is the tile set deco, is that misleading? Is that something that needs to be improved so the players kind of recognize if it's low ground, high ground, whatever?
I mean, it doesn't matter once you learn it, but it's just it wrecks noobs. Like if you don't know map making or if you don't know the map.
Well, I think map makers could do certain things to make it easier.
It wrecks me too, by the way. So I am also in.
Like, there's a trend now to like, I don't know, change the tile so you know where to put your like town hall or whatever, or you're blocking off structures, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, I generally avoid terrain types like this for
misleading
most purposes for that reason. But yeah, some people just like to use them because of the looks, I guess.
It doesn't help that Tasteless gets it wrong every time he casts talking about him.
Well, Tasteless gets a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, he does.
I
Or
guess
Atrocious, for that matter.
you could probably use normal low ground and keep sunken ground as a border, probably,
Right.
if you want to have aesthetics.
I mean, as a map, it's fine. Again, it changed. It kept one big part of longinus. Well, not really, because there's also a ramp to walk around a little bit here. Not as much. Like, if you take the center here, you still have a dominant position, because if he tries to circumvent the two ramps, he still has to come in through a narrow choke point. It's not high ground, but it's still narrow. So, Lurker controlling the center is still strong, but it's not as strong as the original, and it's not as weak as in the other remake we saw. So this is a bit of a middle ground, I suppose, where this is a bit more loyal.
Would widening the ramps help?
Yeah, which he did actually. He did that too. He widened the ramps.
Yeah, but not a lot though.
And in turn,
Yeah,
the
okay.
expansions, the naturals, more towards the edge of the map, so they're not so over the cliff or you to harass. Kind of help Terran.
Oh yeah, he did that. Yeah, he did do that.
I think that always helps because the abuse that can happen, it's just too much.
But yeah, I think there are two ways you could, if you want to nerf center lurker, basically, there are two ways you could do it. One, you could widen the ramps a lot, or you could do what this guy did, and the previous guy did actually even, which is to add another path. But I prefer this one because it's more faithful in that you still have power by controlling the center. Because the way to walk around, it's still just a little choke. You know?
I don't think Zerg is the race that needs to be nerfed. I think it's good to have. I think it's all right to have some maps that Zerg can contain some areas. There's a lot of maps these days. They have a hard time because it's so open.
Yeah, you're not doing that on Sylphid, for example. Like you're not, you know. You remember Benzene? That's a brutal lurker map, dude. If
I don't
you
know
take
if we have a
Irad
Benzene
lurkers-
remake.
I mean, it works. We played it like a year ago, so I don't think it's a problem. Then again, I don't think longiness is a problem either, but, you know, I'm a little insane, I guess.
All right, gentlemen, any other points about third impact? By the way,
I think back to the original, this very spacious bases, I think one of the high ground bases here should have a lot. It should just be as big as possible, basically, to be a similar, easily droppable, spacious base, I think.
Oh, yeah, the third base is the open area. I forgot about that. That's a big part of the original spirit. Like, if you get you can like drop 4 vultures there, you know? And then just harass, stuff like that. I agree. Yeah. The third base, the one that used to be double gas, should be.
the author of this map, he submitted a bunch, I think, and he submitted them as a map album. It's kind of cool. We gave them
All the stuff
names.
are really good this time, so yeah.
I kind of like that idea. All right, let's go to the next one. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. Guess that map. I feel like if you scored people, they'd get like 10% of these. Because their memory is shit.
You know, you
I
plan
don't
so
remember
many
the
maps.
name of the original, but I think I
You
know
play
this one.
so many maps that it gets crazy.
Does this help?
Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, it's called like No, is it Loki 2 or Bite My Bone or something like? Yeah,
Good
Loki,
for you,
right?
man.
Yeah, Loki.
It's hard to
Wow.
cheat at this game too. Like you can't really Google anything, right?
Yeah, no chance.
Only if you know what to Google already.
Yep.
If you know that one game, then you can look it up. Okay, so first of all, the original, does it have problems? And did we fix them?
Good question. That's what I think was an important part of the contest. Maybe not everybody followed that or
I'm gonna go
interpreted
back
the rules that way.
My original always, I'm gonna say, because I'm a pros user, is the choke at the natural. I mean, you could play from your main with this one gate into an expo because it's in your You're
Yeah, yeah. So
have
you
a
don't
base in
need
the
the full
back.
spend.
You don't need it, but it just gets a little tricky.
And what's like the defining feature of this map? I mean, the second
Yeah,
follow-up question
the
to
Inside
Bobby's.
Expo is a defining feature, which he kept straight up, so that's good. Another defining feature is that the fastest path to your opponent is like through this tiny window. You know, it's very easy to hold the center. And he kind of
And
kept
also-
that with
It's
the
also
bridges,
restricted
you know,
to small units.
but he
like-
added like a no man's land in between the two. So he changed that a little bit, but I'm okay with that because he still made it so that you can really easily hold. I mean, not as easily maybe, but close enough, right?
Yeah.
And then he made a fourth base. The fourth you would take, like he basically changed which fourth you're gonna go for. Because if you're on the red spawn on the old one, you're gonna take the one that's to the bottom right. You're just gonna walk in the line. Now that's more difficult to take, but he made the one going up easier to take. So he changed that around a bit, I suppose. To be honest, looking at this, these maps.
Oh,
Body
body
cut.
out.
How about that?
Body out.
Welcome back.
Body fell off the map.
Yeah, I think they're both fine, really. Like, I would play on either one.
I love his profile avatar. It's like a
Oh, you know what he did, actually? He made it so that you can't counterattack and backstab as well anymore. You see that?
Is that true?
I mean, like, okay. Go to somebody's natural on the old one. There are two paths to get there.
That's
like,
true.
really-
That's
Oh,
true.
I see. Yeah.
I don't know if that was a problem, like Protoss suffered or something, but like, yeah, he got rid of that.
I think that was a problem on the original version of Loki, but the one that's pictured here is the second version, which the backdoor path is pushed further away from the natural.
Yeah, okay.
So this just continues that trend.
Oh, there was
Yeah.
two versions of this, huh?
Yeah, it was Loki too. So, okay. He added island bases, interestingly enough. You can actually walk to them in the old one, but now they're islands. What do you think about that?
I feel like there's not that many expansions on this map anyway, even as a 2-player. So maybe opening up some more bases wasn't the worst thing.
You know what he really did, actually? He turned this into a viable Sair Reaver map, actually. Because look at the 12 and, like, basically the 7, like a 5 o'clock base on the new one. That's a mad Sair Reaver will take a base. Like, you can drop 2 Reavers, build some cannons, and you got it. You could not do that before. At all.
Yeah.
And then also the island base. Like,
Protoss map?
so if I played Protoss, I would straight up go Sair Reaver on this. On the new one.
Viable for sure.
You don't have to like an Andromeda, but you can. And you really, I mean, in the old one, it was like, yeah, you get 3 bases, but it just was not as good as it is now. He really buffed Sair Reaver.
There, Reaver. Maybe we'll see a comeback. We're starting to see more of it anyway.
Alright, next map.
This is Fortress, dude. This is a Fortress remake.
Your guess is what?
Fortress.
Raz, what's your guess? I think I actually know this map, but that's because I cheated and I saw this mission.
I don't know. Is it Fortress? I mean,
I don't think it is, actually. I take that back.
don't know.
Wow. Look.
Is there any way you would have guessed this?
Holy yikes.
Probably
No way.
not, right? Because it's
No.
kind of different.
Okay, so
All those. The center does
Wow.
kind of give it away in some ways.
Yeah, I guess if you look at the center, it's kind of. the
yeah,
same.
fair enough. Fair enough.
But then
feel
you
like the
think like
Top
other
left
parts
and
of the
bottom
map.
right are so different. You're like, what is that? What
Yeah.
is that from?
Okay, Lost Temple. This is a guy who made 76. He's a creative map maker. Is it too dissimilar? or is like the defining features of Lost Temple. I had this talk with some other map makers. What are the defining features? Is it the cliffs? Is it the islands? Is it the close spawning positions?
My opinion, it is the buildable cliffs that you can't walk up to. It is the island bases, and it is that you're not getting a third gas until you take a main one island. You know, those are the three things for me.
Now, how many of those does he check off? So the cliffs you can walk up to.
He has all of them, but he changed them all.
Piece, though.
Like, he has the cliff, but you can walk to it. He has the island, but you can walk to it with a worker. You know?
And I think that's okay, though. Like, I was looking at it first, and I was like, God, is this Python? Because it's kind
of added more bases.
It seems like almost like a hybrid of Python, Lost Temple.
Yeah.
Right, like with the bases in the top right and the bottom left are like islands. Your bases are still close the way it kind of goes out. But I think the ramps to the actual high grounds are okay. I think it's definitely a piece of balance. And what's interesting is it's kind of like that Nemesis feel where you can get to other bases using it.
Yeah.
I actually really like how we changed this up.
What happens if you drop tanks here? Like, would they reach the mineral lines?
No, they don't. They don't.
No.
But that's an option, I guess. You slowly kind of like.
Well, these egg-in simulators have really opened up for some tricky play. Like, obviously, the most recent one we talked about has been Nemesis, where you can do different tricky things now that you couldn't do in the past because you can go. I saw a really funny game from the women's league, women's ASL, and one of the Zergs built is actually Cadenzi built a hatchery up there, like got a drone through early and went like 999 with a hatchery on the high ground because you can't see up the high ground unless you actually go up it.
Yeah.
So we're seeing some creative types of play, with these types of layouts.
The expansions and
do you think the high ground should actually be buildable or part buildable here?
I think it's okay to be part buildable.
It's completely unbuildable on this version right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would. I don't think that's. I think either way is okay. I mean, obviously there's plus and minuses, but if now it's a little more on you. Where if you allow Terran to drop up there and build, it's more on you as a Protoss or Zerg, right? Because you can now get up there. Whereas before you could not get up there unless you had a dropship of your own, and you were forced to play in one style. And as soon as they got up two turrets and a bunker, it was like, okay, that base is dead.
It actually, like, I'm not racially biased. I happen to play Terran right now. But the reason the cliff was suppressive back then is actually because people were bad. Like, 2H Mutina would just shit on it. Any sort of Reaver play would just make it not really an issue, you know? Like, people like to go mass shuttle anyway, especially with the items on LT. You would just go mass shuttle and it would be fine, to be honest. So it wouldn't be imbalanced, in my opinion.
Did he copy Python's, like, corner expansions here, combining the Lost Temple?
Those, I think you copied them from Fortress.
This map is really similar to Fortress, actually, because in Fortress you have, in every corner, you have an expo that an SCV can walk to, but nothing else can, which is the same as here, right? An SCV can walk to all the corners. What he changed, of course, was the simulator egg thing. So that's not in the original. You just have the gates.
You could claim he stole this from either Magathia or Multiverse. So in this form, or with his symmetry of map.
Yeah,
it's really inspired by several maps. It seems like. Okay.
I think the map would be fun to play on, but I don't think it's like Lost Temple anymore. You know.
It would be fun. All right, next map. What do we got?
I like your enthusiasm. What do we have?
Okay, this is like also Lost Temple.
Maybe this looks like Lost Temple again.
Yeah, it's another Lost Temple.
Yeah, interesting.
He has the islands.
I like the name, the Lost Temples.
And dude, he didn't even put the mineral field on the island. You can actually float the CC. You can actually do it.
Is that?
Or you did. He's here right now. It's minerals.
Is that Imba or it's?
I mean,
obviously that only helps one race.
it helps Terran, and I'm thinking like,
I mean,
I don't know if it's
by
a
the
problem.
time
But
you're
yeah.
by the time your third CC lifts and lands there, I mean, Protoss will have a shuttle by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same timing.
You could like wall in your main, just float it there, but then he has a shuttle and Reaper anyway, so it's probably okay.
It's the same distance from like the natural and the main. Like say bottom right, like teal's natural and red's main. It's about the same floating distance.
Yeah. Actually, I like this remake, and there's like a little ramp to a smaller cliff, which I kind of like as well. Like there's still a cliff there, but there's it's smaller. Kind of like we do see in some other maps now, where like these little cliffs by the naturals that you walk up to. I kind of feel like there's a lot of the same middle area feel to the Lost Temple and the Lost Temples,
but not as cramped, and that had to change. You can't have that cramped center, dude. It's like not good.
Yeah, this is
so
cool.
you open up a center. That's good.
Yeah, I did add a base to each player, but it kind of seems modern.
So the third base, I mean, you still have the mineral only, but you have another straight up base right now.
I think the third is a reduced gas. I think it's only like 3,000.
Okay. I think it's fine now. I still think you could be more faithful and still have it fail, honestly. I really think the only problem with Lost Temple is like the cramped center and that 12 o'clock, the modern one, not the one we're looking at. The 12 o'clock can't forge expand while every other location can, which is stupid. And also Terran has to go 2 racks, TVZ, 1 base.
Alright, so if I am at 9 o'clock and I want to take my third here where there's a gas, and say there's a Terran here, can they tank?
They may be able to nuke it, maybe with a nuke, but not with a tank. No.
Does that same problem exist for the other expansions as well? Or just for this?
The tank, I wouldn't say it's an issue. You can't hit like a command center or anything.
Oh, it'd be a cool kind of risk to take if you're...
So I would say normally, like in your scenario, like if I were at 12 o'clock, or if I was at the 9 o'clock, I wouldn't expand up towards. I would go down to the other expansion below. Yeah, it's far away.
That makes
even if you rally points right there.
Yeah,
just trade-offs, I guess.
So I would worry PvT, like, can they put tanks up there and then drop tanks down, like elevator in, like it becomes an issue?
They can't even do that though, because you can't actually reach the ground either.
Well, if you do it from the bottom center of 12 o'clock and slowly push across, life's a little bit harder.
Oh yeah, that's true. You can have tanks on the high ground covering tanks on the low ground. Yeah.
Yep. That's why it's a little bit. That's why I would avoid it. I mean, at least at first look, I'm like, I probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't want all my bases exposed to one like army tank movement, right? So if Terran's 12, I'm Protoss, I'm at 9. All Terran comes down, you basically have access to all my fucking bases, so I'd probably try to expand other places.
Yeah,
not a problem. So
that makes sense.
Protoss can expand away, very easily. And one of the traits of the original Lost Temple is that you can cover your mineral only from your main. And he kept that. I mean, you can't do it in all of them because the map is asymmetric.
And the mineral onlys were kind of awkwardly placed, and I feel they're a little bit awkwardly placed in this map too, which is nice. They're essential.
The new one, they're all the same though, so it's symmetrical. So now you can always do what you could only do sometimes in the old one, which is good.
They might seem awkwardly placed right now, but if you like move an army from one base to another, they're not going to like run through the SCV line. They'll go around the command center.
Yeah, exactly.
There's enough of the cliff there. It's actually thinking of centralizing the mineral onlys a bit, but it's like a good defensive position, like up against the temple. So
I gotta tell you guys, I love to see this map in like BSL or ASL. It would bring back some memories. I definitely watch those games. See how it plays out, And a lot of the people who play StarCraft, they probably remember the LT days. So definitely bring back nostalgia. This was cool. Any other comments before we move on?
No, unfortunately, this is gonna be my last map, gentlemen. I gotta run, but thanks
All
for
right,
having
thanks,
me.
Raz. Really
Some of the
appreciate you
review.
coming, man.
Of course, I appreciate being here. Let me know when you guys do the next one, and good luck with the rest of the contest.
Cheers.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
All right.
Oh.
What do we have?
Okay. This is a Luna remake. And that map actually needed to be remade, because if you look at the original, some mains are way more exposed to recalls, shuttles, etc. than others, for no good reason. So he really fixed that, I think. That's better now. It's more balanced in that sense. However, he also added a third gas, which I don't think is necessary. I think the mineral only was like part of the map, you know? And I think it would have been playable to me.
The third gas is reduced. It's only, I think it's 3,000.
Okay. Okay, so that's at least like a little bit faithful then. You don't get the full gas.
Was it like, I thought like mineral, they were, all the thirds were like minerals back then.
No, there was a mixture, you know. Some maps
see.
had mineral thirds and some maps standard.
How does that change
Yeah.
the dynamic when you just added a mineral instead of a gas?
It basically nerfs Terran versus Protoss. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. If Protoss has to take it as a third, it also nerfs Protoss against Zerg. If they can't take another base.
I love
So
the
I guess
real life
it's for that
character.
reason. Okay, I never thought about that, but for Protoss' sake, maybe you need to give them that gas, actually. You know?
It's
Maybe-
balanced now, right? If you add a third gas, it seems like it's good for all
Yeah.
races. Back then, though, it seemed to favor Terran more. Is that what
I think Terran need like a reduced third gas, so they can pump out more Goliaths versus carriers early on.
Terran doesn't need it, though. Terran could survive with the mineral only for sure. But Protoss, I think, might need the gas against Zerg. So maybe, I guess I'm okay. Maybe I'm still unsure about it. Because I consider the mineral only to be part of the maps.
Scan seems pretty adamant that Terran need a pretty easily accessible third.
Well, I mean, he's better than I am at StarCraft, but like, Terran always
Wow.
finds a way, dude. Like, you can do a lot of things.
Are Terrans, are players always gonna like propose map changes that favor their race? Are they thinking of?
I mean, I don't do that, but I played every race, so I'm not really a Terran. I'm just playing Terran at the moment.
That's what I think of when I think of some of Scan's commentary, maybe, or any commentary from players.
I like that the map is more symmetrical. I mean, the thirds at like 12 and 6 are like have more fly space behind in the water compared to the other thirds, but it's a solid map for sure.
He fixed the terrain. Yeah, I see what you mean, where the horizontal middle bases, like. So that's a little bit, I guess. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's not a big deal. Overall, he really fixed the terrain and fixed the mains, and I approve of the map. I just wish we didn't need the gas on the third, but maybe we do need it for Protoss. So I guess I accept it.
Body's pretty much open to anything. Okay.
Well, I mean, the map has to be balanced. I just believe that there are maps people think are imbalanced that actually turn out to be balanced eventually.
I'd love
As
to
evidence, I can say that Bluestorm started out as a Zerg map, even the latest version, because they kept nerfing Zerg on it. It was still considered a Zerg map, but it became Protoss favored against Zerg eventually, as people figured it out. You know, it's not as obvious as you might think.
Well, I'm still hoping we have a Crazy Critters remake.
Oh, also, Terran is kind of just the best race right now, statistically. So if we make maps that are quote-unquote bad for Terran, it's just going to make the matchups 50%. You know, which is what we want anyway.
In the foreign community, it seems like there's a lot of Protoss players, so even if these maps get adopted in leagues or events, it's going to be a lot of PvP.
Oh
yeah, am I right? There's a shrinking Terran, so I'm all in favor of like making Terran favored maps or whatever. I don't think it's gonna.
If you do that though, you can only play them outside of Korea.
Yeah, that's true. The real problem is a shrinking player base and disproportionate number of like Protoss players. Seems like.
Yeah, I recognize this map. I don't. It's like Peaks Bike 2, maybe, or like. Yeah, there is.
You got it.
Okay. Okay.
Even
made
newer
it so you
things.
can forge expand more easily. That's the first thing I noticed. Did you do anything else?
Map is a bit wider, and there's a high ground path at the 4 and 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I see it. Got it. Yeah, so another map.
Also 12 and 6.
Okay, that's actually really good, I think. I mean, I don't know what the balance is like, but I'm thinking, obviously, Taran can't take a third for shit, indeed. So, what he did was he made it more vulture harassable. You know, he made vultures better. He made dropships better to compensate for that. And I don't know if Terra needed that, again, because I don't know what the statistics were. But it seems like a good thing. Oh yeah, and the name is a reference to the name of the original. First it was called Peaks of Baidu. Then they made Shin Peaks of Baidu, which basically means new Peaks of Baidu.
Oh, I
and
see.
so he made even a new Peaks of Baidu.
It's funny.
I think the map's good. I think modern Hydra display would wreck Protoss on the old one, but not anymore. Now you can actually wall off. And they buffed, vulture harassment too, since you can't take a third soon.
It kind of looks like a penis over here, guys. It's a penis map.
Yeah.
I see the balls. I see the dong.
Come on, kick
Alright.
off.
All right.
Please.
I'm
Someone
invested
unlock
in this map.
Now.
Dude,
Thank you
viewers
for
love this
taking that
stuff.
crown from me.
Always looking for penis maps. Penises on maps, or swastikas, or something. This map gives us that.
I am no longer the total map maker.
He added the base, I just noticed. There's another export now. Which means when you finally get your third as Terran, you now also kinda get a fourth, a little bit. Not really, but like, it's easier to take a third now. It's way easier, actually. Wow, I never realized. That's a big deal. If you look at 12 and 6, the new bases right there.
Right. Okay, let's go to next map. Some more highlights. ...
Oh yeah, these are now.
These are maps that have been approved, right? They're in the contest.
Yeah. I didn't know how many maps you would really manage to go through.
Oh no, this is perfectly fine. I think we played enough trivia.
Yes, we can go through these a bit quicker or something.
Huntress. Buddy, do you remember this map?
Yeah, I played on Moonblade. Yeah, I mean not like when it was new, but it was used in like Purple Challenge.
Did you like the map?
It was fine, I guess. I mean, it was playable from what I could tell. I don't know. This new one looks fine too. You can expand more easily, I guess.
Yeah, I really
you remove
like...
the backwards entrance into your natural, so that's not a thing anymore. Which is a little bit unfaithful, I think. But yeah. I think that was a defining feature.
Well, compared to Suri's other submissions that were like very similar to the original, I like some of the creative choices he took. The center looks cool.
Yeah, this one I took a bit of liberties with.
Oh, you're
so
sorry.
the main problem I saw with the backdoor in the original was that not only was it a backdoor, you could also like siege the gas with dragoons and lurkers from it. So I had to push it further away from that. In the remake, you can't hit the mineral line or the gas or the town hall location from that path. But maybe I probably should have made the entrance within the natural choke point rather than just outside of it.
Yeah, that's another choice, but I think it was justified what you did. You gotta make it different to some extent. You gotta make it your own.
Yeah. I think it looks like a good map.
It's still a pretty good backdoor in a sense. Like, if you think about it, like your rally point's going to be in front of that, so you can still run around a group of dragoons, I would think, with vultures.
Thing is, I think the rally point is right on that. That's why I don't think it's a strong backdoor, because that's where you're gonna rally most of the time.
Right, and when I was playtesting it too, that's basically what happened. I would try to go backdoor somebody, and then the rally point would be right there, and I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Whereas, like Terran versus Terran on Region, for example, you can really sneak in through the back door and siege the gas, you know, or do vulture harassment just to get in and get out. But other than that, like once you get to the late game, it's pretty similar, except you added an extra base, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, the extra base gives you actually an option to expand clockwise now, which is good, I think. The original always was a bit awkward expansion-wise, because players basically were forced to move counterclockwise all the time.
Terran had to expand in that direction. It was no other option.
Okay, next map. Rush Hour 4.
The actual Rush Hour remake.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You wanted to make it so you could forward expand, I can tell. And it's actually funny, on the original, people actually did forward expand. And it worked, but like, Zerg didn't know how hard they could have used that, so fair enough.
Is the original playable today? And if not, what's the major problem?
The problem is Protoss versus Zerg, and Protoss just get busted for not expand against like modern 973 or whatever. Other than that, yeah, it's playable. So he basically fixed that, you know?
Oh, that's cool.
He pretty much did fix it. He added some extra bases too. Or maybe he just moved the bases. Did he add any actually? Yeah, he added one. He made it so that yeah,
it's like 8 mineral onlys on the map.
Yeah, a lot of mineral onlys.
There were 3 Rush Hours, right?
Yeah, there were.
So is this inspired? Is like Rush Hour very similar to Rush Hour 3, or is this like inspired by Rush Hour 3 more?
I only played the last one. I didn't play 1 and 2, so I don't know. But I think this is worthy of calling it Rush Hour 4. I think it's close enough. I really think that it preserves a lot of the original. Of course, it doesn't preserve the hard to take natural, but he decided we can't have it today. So.
Okay.
I remember back in the day there was a really epic game on Rush Hour, Mondragon and Hydra. It's like an hour-long game.
Oh yeah, and Recru got up into play on Rush Hour with the Arbiter and the 2 Archons, right? Remember that? Wasn't that on
so long ago?
Anyway, Silent Vortex. Did he add? Yeah, so he made the tiny mineral only, like more for blue base. Now it's like 6 instead of like 3 or whatever, but it is the big. And he added more room in the map also. Added expos too. At 3 and 9. I mean, it looks like a good map to play. I personally prefer the aesthetics of the original, though. I wish he would have kept the ice center. But
yeah,
good map overall.
Also, it was pointed out by someone that the main natural mineral only probably should be more like a forward mineral only defense setup like Arcadia or what's the other one? The desert one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's called like it's a World Siren.
Judgment Day.
Yeah, Judgment Day. That's another one. Like Bowie, I think. No, not Bowie. I can't remember the name. But yeah, I know. Actually, in the original, it kind of is. So. Overall, though, I'm okay with it. I think it's decently loyal to the original, and looks like a fine map. Although I think the original looks better.
Yeah, Zombie uses this like zigzag pattern in his deco.
He does, yeah. He's a very baroque aesthetics enjoyer.
Cyber Temple. This
Okay,
is our
another
third
Temple.
Lost Temple remake so far, I think. Frequently putting sideways.
Can you build on those clips? On this?
Right now, you can build exactly one turret, but that can easily be changed.
Okay. This looks like StarCraft 2's Lost Temple remake to me. Shattered Temple.
Oh, I've never seen that before. Did that come out when StarCraft 2 came out?
It came out like a few months after SC2. Like
Yeah,
first they had
I remember playing that.
Anyway.
Was that in like the ladder or whatever, or not the ladder?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
what
like, but it was like Wings of Liberty, like ancient.
Check it out. Did Freakling stay true to the spirit of Lost Temple?
In my opinion, no, but I don't think any of the maps did.
And why do you say no? What is the main spirit?
I think that Lost Temple is about buildable cliffs over the natural, island bases which he kept, and those are the two main ones. But then I also think the third should be a mineral only. Yeah.
Close spawning positions isn't really a thing, right?
It's a little
Or
bit
it's
of a thing,
flexible.
to
The
be
thing
honest.
is that
It is.
most players wouldn't consider a map without any easy to take ground third. Very balanced nowadays.
Well, you get an easy mineral only in the original. I mean, in some spots, to be fair, of the original. But I think that's enough, to be honest. Like Python, for example, you only get an easy mineral only, and then you gotta.
Yeah, but Python isn't
Yeah, I know.
really considered balanced.
It was balanced back in the day, though. It was. Would it be balanced today? In my opinion, yes. But I'm insane. So.
I like what you did with the island here. Being able to elevator easier is a nice touch.
Yeah, you can actually use those cliffs to clear out cannons on the island with tanks, for example, as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you can surroundings.
I find 6 o'clock main kind of interesting. The left space that's open. Used to seeing the right space open. I guess that's the move blue away from red.
A bit, and to get create some little space for those extra bays.
And why did you decide to add minerals and a gas in the center? Still there.
Just wanted to add something in the center.
Well, I like the Zelnaga temples. Yeah, instead of it being completely open.
I think the fear of buildable cliffs that you can't walk to is based on trauma from the past, but it's not rational. I don't think it's a problem though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, I like the walkable cliffs too.
You have to understand that going mutalisks back in the day was actually like a bit of a cheese all-in move, because they weren't solid if the opponent knew they were coming. So you have to go lurker, but then you had this cliff, so it was like, what do? You know? That was the problem. But now that you can just go mutas, it's like fine.
I think you're right about people being bad back in the day too, but you know, hindsight.
I mean, they were intelligent and hardworking, but they just didn't have the discoveries that we have now. They didn't have the advancements.
Yeah, that's right. There were no replays at a certain point. No streams. Sharing of information is pretty limited. Alright, let's go to the next one. We got Parasites.
I missed the original from this. I never played it. Never saw it.
Oh, okay, same.
It's a lot to
Wasn't
take in.
the-
But
Wasn't the
map.
wasn't the original a 2-on-2 map?
Okay, got it.
Yes.
I think it was an old Pro League 2-on-2 map.
You stop in the corner now. Interesting. Wow. I can't really predict how this will play, but I would give it a shot for sure. So you have two guys that are in your main now, because it's so hard to expand. So that's one thing you can do for Protoss. If you don't want an easy expansion, just put a gas in the main and it'll be fine. And serve.
It's kind of like Lemon, per se, where there's,
Yeah,
I don't know, you build your macro buildings in your natural.
right. And you can't forge expand. I mean, maybe you can actually to the mineral only if you want to be honest, on the bridge, because there's only one entrance now, unlike the originals too.
Is there only one temple, or are they stacked?
I hope they're stacked, to be
Dark
honest.
Shadows, it looks like they're stacked.
Okay, nice. They should be, in my opinion. I think it's interesting with the two geysers in the main and the mineral only. So I don't know. Late game, this map would be like a little bit of outsider. Like, well, not really, because you don't have to mine it out. But like, you take the center and he just walks into your main. You know, so there is that lane aspect of the game. But I think that's okay.
Is it in the spirit of the original?
Looks like 3 temples are stacked.
The spirit of the original, I mean, no, but could we play that map at all? Like, I think he did the best he could, to be honest. He had to change a lot. So, pretty much as well as it could be, I think.
The map by DQ, man.
Oh, to this map. Ears of the Protoss, the most imbalanced pro map in
Is
history. Protoss could just not beat Zerg on this.
Why?
Because you can't expand. Okay, so look at the original. How do you take that expo, bro? How do you do that? Like, if they added the gas in the main, it would be fine. That would be one way to fix it. Back in the day, if they didn't though, so they just replaced it. They replaced it, I think, with a map that was mega Protoss favorite, if I'm remembering. They replaced it with Central Plains that only saw Protoss versus Protoss, and then that was replaced too. But anyway, is it faithful? Let's have a look. So you can expand now, straight up. And I mean, I guess you had to change that, but like, I really think it's a very different map. I mean, I guess it's the same, except you can expand.
But it's too dissimilar, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it had to be, but like, I don't know.
What's like some of the defining features?
Well, the defining feature is that you can't expand, which is a problem for Protoss, obviously.
That's interesting. So if you have a defining feature like that, that makes it imbalanced.
That's why I'm saying.
How do you
like,
carry
maybe,
that forward?
Well, if you keep all of the traits, but you add new traits, then maybe that's more loyal, I think.
That would try to balance it in some way.
So you take the original and you just like add a geyser in the main, right? Or you take the original and maybe you add like a non-stacked temple in the back, like on Heartbreak Ridge, you know, where you still have that back door, but not in the beginning. So Protoss can react to it and see it coming, maybe. Maybe something like that, but like, I don't know. I think the map's good, but I think he turned it into a standard map, and so for me, it's not really Tears of the Moon anymore. Now, I don't really want to play on Tears of the Moon, to be fair, because it's broken.
Minnows, Freakling, other map makers, if you have an old school map, it has some defining features that are considered imbalanced today, and you want to recreate that map. One, is that a good map choice?
This is not like an old school map that's considered balanced nowadays. This is just an imbalanced map that was imbalanced even back when it was used briefly. So
I wonder if it's a good map choice to even try to recreate. And two, if you recreate it, do you have to keep those imbalanced features if they are like defining features of the map? That's kind of like an interesting dilemma. Because you're supposed to maintain the spirit of the original map, but if the spirit is that it's an imbalanced map, but then your rationale is you need to update the map.
I don't think the spirit is not. This is supposed to be imbalanced.
No, that I don't know.
So
I'm very conservative
of some of the ideas used.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I mean,
it wouldn't make a good map choice to begin with. You're saying
had like reinforced the wall to the back, and walled off the second open backdoor path as well, or something like that could have worked. So you definitely would have had some options that would have kept it closer to the original. But
Vadi mentioned the example of the cliffs on Lost Temple. For him, a defining feature is just not walkable cliffs. And if you want to recreate Lost Temple, you say to yourself, well, I gotta fix that, right? Update it, make it playable in today's meta. Well, Vadi,
if it's a problem, you gotta do something. But I don't think.
But if it's a defining feature, then you're getting away from the original spirit of the map. That's the contradiction.
If a defining feature was a problem on the map, then you can keep that feature, but you add more stuff. If you can fix it that way, it's okay. So on this map, one way to fix that would be add a geyser in the main, so Protoss doesn't have to forge expand. That way you still have the feature, but you fixed it by adding more stuff. In my opinion, that's a good way to do it.
That's seems like one of the only compromises you can make, besides just saying, this isn't the right map to recreate. I would have probably went crazy if I was a map maker trying to figure out like what map to recreate and what to keep, what to change. What do we got? Oh, Circuit Breakers. Lights Out by Jojo.
Okay, so basically the only difference is like the middle is not open.
So nice.
It's more buildable too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more buildable.
So Circuit Breaker, but with a buildable center and high ground.
Yeah, also, this isn't the newest picture, I think.
No.
Oh, there's a recent update, I guess.
Well, I think the ramps in the center are wider now.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are the high ground, the mid ground is it's more centered. It's not spread out. It's smaller, and 3 and 9 is also mid ground.
Oh yeah, so you're not okay. Got it.
Yeah, so it's easier to defend. While 12 and 6 is sunken ground, more like exactly like in the original.
Okay. So you actually sunk those. Got it.
Yeah.
That actually matters because I think that's important because Protoss should have an advantage attacking Terran. They should have like the high ground advantage running in, trying to bust that base because Terran's gonna. Oh yeah, another thing you did. I don't know if you have this anymore, but you made the base smaller. 12 and 6. Do you see that? Which means you can't spam like 50 depots to wall it off like you can on the original.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't have any high ground advantage against the bases anymore in this.
Oh yeah, but he said he changed
that. So.
Didn't you sync the 12 and 6, Jojo? So that now you actually have.
Yeah, but that's just sunken ground. That's not actually low
ground.
Okay. The same as we talked about with the second Longinus remake. The mains, it just looks lower, but isn't.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So Protoss doesn't have the advantage attacking in, but it's not as easy to defend either because you can't wall it off as maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, precis.
Jojo, what was like a major issue with CB that you identified and maybe you tried to fix on your map?
Yeah, I felt like playing Zerg, and I often go more Zergling and mass Hydralisk and try to take late Ultralisk. I thought that Terran and Protoss mobility was too easy to move across the center.
Interesting.
Also, it's turned into a Terran favorite map eventually.
Yeah, and the third was really hard to defend as Zerg. The 3 and 9 o'clock would be the best to take, but it was really hard to defend, in my opinion.
Okay.
You know what you did actually? You made dropships way better on this versus Protoss.
How so?
Because okay, the third base mineral onies, you can drop behind way better now. The minerals block attempts to defend, and then also 12 and 6, because the entrances are so narrow now. If you like put some mines there and you put tanks behind, you can actually defend that, whereas you could not do that. Also, of course, you had the low ground disadvantage trying to drop it before, and it was just like a wide ramp. So recalls are also better now on 12 and 6, because if you get recalled, you can't walk in. You can literally stasis the bridge. So I mean, I think nerfing Terran slightly on this map is fine. The statistics on this map for years was like, it was always like one Terran matchup was 50% and the other was massively, like even up to 60%. Pretty interesting actually. For 1 year, it was 60% TVZ, 50% TVP, and then the next year, it was 60% TVP, 50% TVC, so it shifted. But it was always one Terran favored matchup and one balanced matchup for Terran on this map. So I used to think a remake wasn't necessary at all, but I think you may have improved it actually. There's a possibility you have with it.
I hope so.
Glad we have your muscle memory and great map knowledge body to draw on.
Oh, this is a classic, dude. This is a classic.
Would you be able to recognize it?
Yeah.
Why so?
I have to think about it though. I have to be like, okay, well, you know, it's missing the bridge to the center. I don't recognize that as a bridge, so that would be problematic for me. But other than that, I mean, you have the ability to walk to the vertical natural, right, on a ledge. So we kind of have that. I mean, I think he changed more than he had to though. And what I mean is like, you have to walk out of your natural, and then you can walk up to the ledge to get to the other person. Whereas originally you could do that from your natural, you know.
You can still do that. You just have to break down a temple now.
Yeah, fair enough. You can destroy the temple, so I guess that's a good one. If you shut down the temple again.
Problem with like just open backdoors is always that you can just run in Zerglings versus Protoss, for example, or like Zealots, Dragoons against Terran, or against Protoss, I guess. Against.
It's really Protoss being in that span.
Against Zerg, you can run in Marine forces from the side where there are no sanctions, stuff like that. So or vultures actually can be pretty nasty too.
Vultures, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then the center is open instead of cramped, which of course is like anti-Terran too, and maybe a good thing. I don't know. Like you could actually just take the center and take half the map, and it was like bam, sup on the old one.
But that pretty much had to be changed.
But then Protoss would go carriers.
You shouldn't be able to lock down the center completely like that.
Yeah, maybe not. So basically, he nerfed carriers on it, but he also nerfed split map. So it's more of a well-rounded map, whereas in the past it was like split map is mega strong and carriers are mega strong. Now it's more well-rounded, I guess.
Spawning positions closer to each other, bottom and top?
He kept that part of the map. You still have close by air. You still have it.
Is that a balanced feature?
Some people think it's inbuilt to have close by air. I think it's okay. I think people can deal with it.
I think he would probably like speaking to him, the map maker. He's a huge proponent of maintaining the spirit of the original map, identifying it. So if there are like close spawning positions, he would try to keep it. Cause
he kept that for sure. He made some changes, but he it's decently loyal. Maybe like a 4 out of 5 on faithfulness. Sorry, I cut you off. I think you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I think it's almost maybe too short of a distance. Yeah, like before there were a larger space between with the river. But I guess, as you say, people will find a way to defend against it.
Well, the
Will
cool
be.
thing is there's 4 positions, so it's kind of like, luck of the draw. You might spawn close to somebody or across from them, top, bottom.
I
So
didn't
kinda
think
like
about that, but you're right, Jojo. He actually made the close by air even closer, and I don't think we have to. Like now, it's like paranoid angry level,
Yeah.
Which maybe we don't need.
Does it make a big difference?
I think every second matters, really. For stuff like this, yeah. For close
And
by
it's
air.
it's most
Terran
relevant in the
against Brutalist
context.
or Reavers, it's always like very important for the timings.
Is it
That
relevant
you
for all
have
the
some
races and
time
matches?
set up turrets and defenses.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about this. Zerg versus anyone, yes, Mutalisks and Mute All-ins, it matters. Protoss versus Terran, yes, the first Reaver, it matters.
Terran
Protoss,
could drop.
it just matters, yeah, in every non-mirror.
Do we know how many minutes it takes to get like pop out a Muta versus a Reaver versus, I don't know, a dropship and a tank or ultra?
Around 5 minutes, right, or something.
I mean, Mutas come out at like 5.
Yeah.
Is this the same for all of
35 or
them?
something.
Thereabouts?
Well, I mean, no.
Or is
it's
one
different.
quicker than the other?
Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't know the timings actually. I don't remember, but yeah, they're different probably.
Random question, sorry.
It's not the same anyway because you didn't do the same opening build order. So even if it's the same time, it's like relatively not the same. You can't compare.
Alright. Pretty cool remake.
Oh, this one, dude.
Do you know about Flight Dreamliner? Oh, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, this looks really faithful. Actually.
Hmm.
Oh no, except you don't spawn in the same place anymore. Okay,
Changed it.
okay.
Yeah, this actually fixes the close air spawn issue in this case.
Wow.
But if that's a defining feature of the original map, someone might complain about it.
Yeah, like you no longer have the exposed main to drops. Your main is in a corner now. So it's basically the same, except you don't have that. That's the one thing he changed.
Any other changes? Yeah, I think it looks. Is it too similar to the original then?
Well, it's already very different considering you don't have that exposed main, to drops.
So it changes the game so much that that's an interesting point. Just making one little change like that, it's kind of a cheap move, a little bit in the sense that you're not obligated to change so many other aspects of the map. You're just copying it. So I wonder if he needs to change some more things about this to like make it his own. Is that
I
a
think
fair
he changed
comment?
enough. I mean, okay, so this map was not broken anyway. So like, why would you remake it? If
that's a good point. If
and
that's
so he was,
if that's a contest rule, I think it's a good criteria to apply as a voter.
So he was like, okay, what if we take this map, except we do this? That's basically what he did. Dreamliner, except you do start here in the corner.
I'm just thinking about this. Minnows Freakling, any of you guys listening, like organizers of the map contest, I wonder during the voting rounds if you need to supply images of the old maps for people to kind of compare, consider. You're probably intending to do that anyways, but it seems pretty important. Yeah, you kind of need both the old and new versions to assess things, I think, as a voter. However you interpret the contest rules, it still seems like...
Okay, actually, you know what? The original may have been a little broken. Against Zerg, yes, you heard me right. Because think about this. Oh, 2H Muta in blah blah blah, yes. However, how do you take a third gas on Zerg?
Yeah,
on the original. How do you even do it then? So if Terran can just survive a 2H Muta, I think...
Yeah, I see that.
Like, the corner bases, which would be like, not the easiest, but at least somewhat takeable, are mineral onlys, dude. So the more I look at this map, the more I realize, okay, I know why Jaden went for an all-in against Flash on this map in the tournament. I get it now. And I guess it had to be fixed. Like, you gotta give Zerg a third gas.
I like the choice of the map. I guess if it's wasn't broken in the first place, yeah, that might make me change my mind.
It wasn't good in the first place, so
The only issue I have with it is maybe not enough changes. It seems too similar, or the changes that have been made, even if they result in significant changes in the game, it seems like, the map maker should be doing more work to be rewarded for votes, if that makes sense. Yeah. Just adding a gas and changing the spawning position length doesn't seem, you know what I mean? Enough work to get my vote.
yeah, but I mean, then you're moving further away from the original again, so it's
There's
always
that issue as well.
balancing act. So also another thing that's changed actually is top left is
Yeah.
no longer an island base, by the way.
Right. Exactly. That's true.
Yeah, still kind of pretty easy fix, taking away, ramp or adding it. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Mr. Zigzags. So this was no, it wasn't a blizzard map.
No, it was like an old. It was one of the better maps back then, I think. But your natural expansion, although you could take it, was a mineral only. So, not the best for Protoss, I guess. Because Zerg is just going to take a gas anyway, and then have more gas than you.
Every time I see his maps with the jungle tile set guys, I'm reminded of like Aztec architectural like designs and stuff. They have these like zigzag patterns and stuff. It's pretty cool. I wonder if it's just therapeutic for him.
Did he add an island base, or is there a ramp up to? Oh, there's a ramp. Okay.
It's a ramp.
So and then he added a base. So I mean, it's very different from the original. I guess it had to be a little bit. But
too different.
Yeah, same-ish positions.
I'd accept too different over too similar, because it's like, alright, you put in some work, you change things around, but how too different if it's way too much that it's not even like...
What even was the spirit of the original anyway, to be honest?
That's always a good question to first ask.
I mean, he was like... You can cliff the natural, I guess, but it's a mineral only.
Yeah, with the focus on gameplay features as opposed to the tile set, I guess, number of spawning locations and stuff. What sort of gameplay dynamics would the original create? And if you can see those, pathing might be another thing. Looks like the same amount of spaces throughout the map to sort of move around, engaging. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Wow, I missed this map, the original.
The Eye.
This is very old.
Frequently, did you remember like all the maps that people chose to, or were there some that
So
we
this
were
is
like...
not the newest image again.
Was this used in OSL or like MSL? What was this map? Do you know?
No idea.
Anyway, the new one looks good. I mean, it's pretty similar, except he added an inside expo for Protoss against Zerg to be able to get a gas, But other than that, it's very similar, and it looks fun to me. Although, I mean, I'm thinking like Terran gets 4 bases. Like, is that okay? Is that a little too strong?
2006 Pro League maps, among other.
No, that's okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it needs to be updated a bit. Like the third or the outer expo seems a bit too much exposed to air. The at 12 and at 6 expos. But then again, at the original, well,
I mean, looking at the original, what's definitely needed is a proper natural.
Yeah.
Protoss needs a second gas, or they're just gonna struggle against Zerg, pretty much. And that was fixed with an inside expo. So.
Is that deviating from the original one? I feel like a backdoor expansion, if you add that, or an expansion inside the main, that really...
I'm okay with adding more features. So you keep all the original features, but you add more to fix a problem. I'm okay with that. I think that's
an
like
interesting point.
the best way you could do it, to be honest.
I mean, that is how he makes it different, I guess.
I mean, with these inside bases, we had like, I don't know, maybe 20 different maps where there were remakes of old Blizzard maps mostly, where there was just an inside base edit, which, well, maybe is convenient, but I think the standard choice should always be to just create a proper front natural, right?
Yeah.
Because that's it's actually more interesting gameplay wise because you have more counterplay against it, and that's actually what a standard map nowadays looks like, and not have an in-base or vector natural.
Right.
And in-base natural is like its own genre of map, and
Yeah.
you know,
it's more of a special feature instead of like a standard bug fix.
I don't think there ever was a super popular double base, whatever.
they've always kind of existed, and they've been fine, but yeah, we never had like the main map be that way.
People didn't like Ring and Gloom. I remember interviewing Waldstein, the map maker.
I
and
was
he was
okay.
like, yeah,
I thought it was great actually.
he stopped doing those kind of maps.
It
if I'm not
let you
mistaken.
play in ways that you couldn't on other maps. You could all of a sudden go 2-port Wraith against Protoss, which you're never gonna see otherwise. And the sickest thing actually is that Bio against Protoss was actually like the closest to being viable it's ever been.
We got zombie map, Dark Crystal.
I disconnected again. I was saying, there's a game of Light beating Bisu in a macro game. Opening 14cc 2-port Wraith, and then it goes Bio, and that would only work on that map. You would never see it otherwise. For like a lot of reasons I don't have to get into. I don't have time to present about it. But yeah.
Love these references. We got an Ash map. Is this our first Ash map?
I think it is. Yeah.
At least the first.
We've shown. What do you think of this tile set, buddy? Does it bug you at all?
I'm okay with every tile set, personally.
I've heard Zergs complain they can't see lurkers. What do they say about it?
Well, that's good for Zergs. I don't know if they're whining about it.
Or,
Like,
I'm sorry, yeah,
Zerg.
non-Zerg players. Yeah.
You just clone Body 100 times and replace all other players with him?
Well, as he said, he's insane. Other players seem to be much more grumpy. They're playing on new maps.
I'm very conservative when it comes to remaking maps, but I'm very liberal when it comes to making new maps.
Could you expand on why you're conservative when it comes to remaking?
It's because I think I value the original spirit. I think that's a lost piece.
You have to pay a lot of respect to.
This map, though, dude, what are we looking at the original? Even? Like, okay, so you have a ramp. You can actually walk to the enemy. Okay.
Kind of interesting spawning positions.
But then your first expansion, you can't walk to, right? Like the closest mineral only is an island.
I like how you put them in the corners.
There is no mineral only.
Oh, the gas is really far away.
Let's talk about the original first. The original, of course, is pure chaos, and it's just one of the most terrible maps ever made, even by Blizzard standards.
There's like gas there.
But, like, from Ash tile set, maybe also from some other older maps, it tends to have paths where you can move units behind the cliffs if you don't do anything about it, right? It's got some of those, and there's just where you can move units through where you probably shouldn't be able to. Stuff like that. And yeah, there's actually a backdoor base of sorts, but with a really long path going to it.
Where? Oh, I see the ramp now.
So that's at least for blue and for green or for teal Rather, it's that way where you can just safely take it at the back door. Of course, for red, it's completely different because you have to move all the way out and then into the corner. And for purple, it's the setup is
Dude, I'm disgusted.
different once again because you have to move up your front cliff and then down another ramp, and then you can take that base. So yeah, symmetry is pretty much non-existent on this map.
Bottom left gets an expo behind the ramp. Top left doesn't, just straight up doesn't get it. Like your main and your inside expo behind one ramp, not everyone gets it. What the hell?
Blue and teal get a free expo basically. Purple has to defend the front cliff, which only has a small ramp, so it's feasible, and red gets screwed basically.
Yeah,
because red's expo is actually easier to take for blue than it is for red.
Yeah, that's funny.
Big thank you to Zero to rate us. My apologies, I totally missed it. I'm an idiot when it comes to streaming. Welcome, people.
But the new map, I mean, yeah, he did a good job. I mean, come on, look at the old map. Like you're not playing on that map. Like where one base doesn't even get an expo, the other one does. Like I don't have a natural. What the fuck?
Oh, we actually did play on this back then.
Yikes. Now that's a good concept though. There was that like fantasy map where like different maps, different spawns are different, but they all are playable. They're just different. They're different but equal. Here it's just crap. So I guess good job by Zombie. His map looks fine.
All right, let's go to the next one. Ooh.
Oh, another one. Okay.
Black
Yeah,
Soul
that's my rendition of it. Interestingly, I basically had exactly the same ideas as Zombie when I made this.
That's awesome. What a small world that you guys would pick the same map.
As a first impression, I think I prefer this one, but I mean, I would have to analyze them more to really be able to tell.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had them side by side.
But yeah, I would rather play on this.
You can just go back and forth between them, so...
It looks a bit more appealing to me on first impression. Although I gotta say, you closed the center a bit more. Like it was more open in the original, and then in his version, Zombie's version, it was more open too.
Yeah, the center expansions in the original were kind of out in the open and exposed, so I tried to do something different. Oh, and another difference, the ramp to the kind of backdoor third bases, the ramp to the center is actually a tight like 815 style ramp on my.
Oh wow!
So you can't just use that to move tanks through and stuff like that.
Okay, guys. Maybe a 2-minute break to show a promo video. Otherwise, he's gonna kick my ass.
The first time now.
We showed it early on. Yeah, I'll show it again. We can always upload it as a separate clip too in the playlist of our YouTube. Alright, here we go.
Their next battle is fought once again over paranoid android. In the blue corner, Ji-Hun, the defending world champion, begins by gathering resources to build up ground forces.
We gotta build our base up first, but then we're gonna attack each other. Man, look, y'all just prolonging the inevitable, man.
Cause they can't get into my base, man.
Why don't you build some more stuff, Tim? You got plenty of money, build some more tanks and Goliaths.
Yeah, Hydra has such a specific style, in fact, that we'll probably see him play like a robot. I expect that we're going to see...
Have to be pretty cautious here. Here comes the first shuttle slowly drifting in. He's got one Zealot and one his base right while just parking this Reaver right outside the command center. Hydra having to run, scare him, catches a couple.
The push of Doom is getting closer and closer. Themselves, you would probably be having like an epileptic seizure because they're going so fast right now. There's so many things being juggled right now. So many concepts going on. The Arbiter now rushing in here. Now, Protoss is not attempting to kill Terran. Protoss is simply attempting...
그런데도 워낙 뭐 공격적인 박성준 선수니까 예.
이렇게 좀 지나가면서 박성준의 뮤탈리스.
Orders received.
Not enough minerals.
Affirmative.
In the world of cybersports, Jihoon's event is the hit computer game, StarCraft, a science fiction war game where battles are fought over alien worlds.
하나로 통신배 투니버스 스타리그 정말 자타가 공인하는 건너오는 그런 투혼을 발휘했습니다. 꼭 과언이 아닐 것 같습니다. 경남 진해 출신
No sé si esto me pueda traer algún strike o algún tema de copyright después de que quito la música. Me espero que no. Han sido 46 mapas nuevos. Tremendo trabajo. Tremendo.
Alrighty, pretty cool promo video. Big shout out to Spider for creating that. It's awesome. Alright, I think we're getting to the last maps. Anybody remember this map?
Yo creo que los mapas de este men de TNW Zombie son buenísimos. Son, creo yo, los mejores mapas decorados.
I mean, well, I used to play like used map setting. Basically, when these maps were played. So a lot of them I only learned about by studying the history. So, like, in this place.
What was your favorite used map setting game? Like turret defense. I remember Frogger from back in the day.
I like those like team survival maps. It was like a normal StarCraft, but you had to survive, like Starship Troopers, team survival stream, like stuff like that.
They're still making this, I think.
This map looks really loyal to the original, except now you can force expand as Protoss, which is like all you needed to change, really. So I say good job.
The high grounds in the center are now low ground.
Yes, he changed that too.
Yo creo que Mount Impossible es buenísimo.
Taking that freedom. It's fine.
Is it different?
He added expos actually. So if you look at the 12 and 6, there are just more bases there now.
There's a bit too much gas concentrated on the 12 and 6.
Yeah, I'm thinking Terran is gonna like smash Protoss on this maybe. You know what I mean? Okay, how about this?
Bueno.
My suggestion is, instead of having 3 bases in Total 6, you have 2 bases. What do you think?
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Then it will be good, I think.
I just realized who Zombie's inspiration might be. You guys see the zigzags in the main in the original?
Yeah, exactly.
Zombie might not be the only one who does that, right?
Bueno,
It's kinda like
me
a-
parece que con esto ya llegamos al final de la transmisión.
Whenever I see
Faltan
zigzags,
algunos
I
mapas,
think of him.
pero ya no puedo seguir transmitiendo. Esto es gracias a Team Think Quick. No se olviden, por favor. Igual estoy dejando el enlace por acá en el chat de YouTube para que puedan seguir
That's a really
disfrutando
clean
si
looking
es
map,
que
the
gustan.
original, like, I kinda like it.
Son
It's like,
46
chessboards.
mapas, así que es realmente loco esto.
Well, it
Y
took
es un
2
esfuerzo
of 7
tremendo. Entre
dice.
el día de hoy y me parece que entre hoy y hay como 4 días creo para hacer la votación. Así que van a tener este video para que ustedes puedan ver todos los mapas y votar por ellos en
There
Team
was one
Liquid.
race I feel that
Así
was always
que
seen as OP back
voy a
in the
dejar
day.
en
Was
el
it
primer
Terran?
comentario
I feel like from 2000 to mid
este
2000s.
el link de Team Liquid donde pueden hacer su voto y apoyar el mapa que más les guste. El mapa ganador va a beneficiarse de alguna forma que es, bueno, el mapa y los mapas ganadores en realidad, pero los mapas ganadores van a tener juegos auspiciados y se van a poder hacer que los pro gamers jueguen en esos mapas una especie de torneo, ¿no?
Just not as bad today. It was like Terran is the best, and then Zerg, and then Protoss. Basically.
Bueno, eso es un remake del
Okay,
mapa
so this
Fading
Blizzard
Realm
map
de
actually doesn't
Blizzard.
look too bad.
Mapa súper
This
antiguo.
was a ladder map back then, right?
Yeah, it was. It was a ladder.
Es uno de los mapas que me gustó muchísimo. Este mapa me gustó
I mean,
muchísimo.
okay, here's the thing though.
It's not
Es un mapa de 2
playable.
posiciones, como ven.
It's fine in every matchup except
Es
Protoss just
simétrico.
cannot fight Zerg. I'm sorry, they just cannot.
Se llama
Yeah, and you
Ulan
can
of
just
Bali.
easily split the map because
Tienes la
there's just
natural,
one
bueno, la
really
principal
tight setup.
bastante
Yeah.
Why
espaciosa.
can't Protoss fight Zerg?
Y toda la parte
Because
de la
when
base
Protoss has
principal tiene
one
un
gas,
espacio bastante
Zerg
largo
always
de,
gets a second because of our
eh,
So 2 gas against
bueno,
1
es
is
space
broken,
como
but
tal,
3
¿no?
gas against
Donde
2
hay un
is
espacio
not.
para
What
drop y
happens is
demás, o
that
ataque aéreo.
Zerg goes
Pero te
Spire
deja bastante
and
espacio
Hydra at the
para
same time.
construir y
And,
también
like,
para
one lurker
defenderte.
costs so much gas to fight
Y
against,
la tercera es
and
un
just having
poco
the
difícil
Spire
de tomar,
forces Corsairs. So
pero
Protoss just doesn't have the gas to keep
pero
up.
también
So
está
that's
en
the
una
thing.
especie de pocket. Y como les digo,
The
los
rush
mapas de
distance
TNW Zombie sin duda
seems to
tienen
be
las
drastically
mejores
changed
decoraciones
here.
porque
Seems pretty
si se dan
short
cuenta
and,
es muy
new-
detallista,
in the
las
new
cosas
one
las pone
compared to
donde
the
debe,
original.
es simétrico el trabajo que hace y por eso que se ven tan bien, realmente se ven muy bien.
My
Yeah, it was
major
very
problem
long.
with the remake actually is that I can't make out anything, basically. It's not very readable. I actually have to think about what's what there. What's low ground, what's
Yo
high
también
ground,
estoy
what
en
can I
ese
move.
grupo de Discord, pero
but don't you
me
think
da
that's gonna
roche
be,
meterme a hablar
in the
ahí.
actual game, that's
En
gonna
el
be
momento
easier
están
than
hablando
the match?
Body, están hablando
Probably,
Freaklink
but,
y Think Quick.
Still.
Ahora ha abierto el micrófono
So for
Minerals.
example, on this map,
No está.
the main bases
Están ahí,
are the
están.
same
Así que
level,
están ellos, los
I
creadores
believe,
del mapa
or
Mineral,
is it the
Suricata,
other ones that are the
Suri,
same level? 'Cause
Body,
they're-
Freaklink
the Dark
y
Sunken
Mr.
Ground,
Ox.
the main
Toda
and
la
the
gente de Team
expansions
Think
are
Quick.
different
Gente
levels
que,
compared
uff,
to the
Yeah, I
ground
think-
effect.
mueve
I
el
think
juego de
the
una
main-
manera
the
increíble.
main is- I think the third
Están haciendo el
spot
análisis en este
normal.
momento un poco del mapa, están hablando
but
de
I
los
think
grounds,
you should
¿no? El
just
high
make it
ground,
normal,
el
low
low ground. En este caso la
Yeah.
main está en una low
Just, I
ground
mean,
porque está abajo, ¿no? Así que
when
esto
players have to
generalmente no se ve en los
learn, okay,
mapas, ¿no?
sunken ground is not actually low ground,
Yeah.
and then there comes a
Bueno,
map
y ahora
where it
hablan
actually
técnicamente de,
is,
bueno,
and
yeah.
bueno, pero
that gets really
técnicamente no
confusing,
es...
and there isn't really, I mean, you can't really
También hay algunos trucos en
decorate
los que puedes hacer que
sunken
tu...
ground. It's just this dark mass where everything looks the same. So it's not actually that attractive of a terrain to use in the first place. Could just use normal dirt with some nice deco on it.
Bueno, lo que
I
dice es
agree,
que,
I'm not an enjoyer of
generalmente
fake
estos mapas que
background,
tienen
and I'm not
colores
an
muy
enjoyer of
oscuros,
fake,
¿ok?
unbuildable
No son tan atractivos para los jugadores. Y
Oh,
si ven
Zombie's
la
body
zona
of
de
work, I wish
pelea
you'd
o la zona
try
de lucha
different
es
kinda
muy oscura.
deco style in
Y la
some of his
parte
maps. I
mediana,
don't know
la
if
media del
some
mapa
of
es
the deco
Twilight,
that he does in
esta,
this map, they
ese
don't
color
seem to
azul,
blend together well.
que es
Kinda
azul
seem like an
claro.
eclectic
Well,
mix.
Pero
he uses
lo ideal
certain
para los
lines,
jugadores es que ellos
and
puedan
then
tener
he
un
uses
mapa
everything
claro
mixed
y
together,
así puedan
but,
ver al
But
enemigo
it's an
mucho más
artistic
fácil y
thing,
no
I guess.
confundible
You know,
con el
there's some
Fog of
forms of
War. Es
art
un
that I don't
poco,
care
es un
about
poco lo que
much,
siempre van a
but
analizar porque los jugadores les dicen
computer
eso.
rave,
but
some
there
people
are
like it.
some general principles how you have to decorate that it looks nice in game and on the picture as well. like that you use some
Bueno, están diciendo que la decoración es bonita, se ve muy bien.
like that you try to break straight lines and he just doesn't do that.
There actually are rules to art that makes it look more appealing.
I like to think without order there's chaos, but I don't know, man. Zombie, you keep doing you.
There are different kinds of order, though.
We've seen in the map threads that some people
Not
are
everything is
super.
Bauhaus style, so.
Some people are super enthusiastic about some maps, right? Some maps that I think are less quality than others. But I've seen viewers on TL who are like, man, I fucking love this map. It rocks. I kind of like it, even though I disagree with it. That you have this like difference in opinion.
I wish this map would have a longer rush distance. It's really short. That's all I got.
I mean, if you have one map with a specific art style, because maybe it's supposed to signify something or other. Alright, but if that's your standard art style you use on every map, then
yeah, I like to see something different from him because he's produced so many maps.
Wow,
so just getting out of his comfort zone.
Mire, que está hablando ahorita es Miniverse.
And you know, I think when you speak to people who create stuff, sometimes they're heavily invested in something and it's not received as well by others. And it's a very interesting phenomenon. They create something that they're not a fan of, they think is not good. It could be a song, it could be a work of art, and it just like, you know, blows up. So I think it's always worth to try to do things differently sometimes. But anyways. Oh shit.
You keep throwing mud at the wall, it'll stick.
Este mapa se las va a traer, Es solsticio de invierno y es de Hyojin, un creador coreano. Nosotros también usamos un mapa de él en la RISS. Y este mapa es un remake de Cross, así que o sea, un Cross, imagínense un Cross pero con una tercera con gas, haciendo algo mucho más estándar y también con esa base, esa tercera base a los Circuit Breaker. Por eso Circuit Breaker fue tan famosa.
He kept that. He actually did. The Mad Lab actually kept it. And I even think you can put a tank so far back that Dragoons can't really reach it. In a way, he even buffed the cliff, because think about it, like on normal tower cross, you can walk around it and you can block. I'm not sure how I feel about it actually, because you can block the drop cliff from reaching it. Here, it's a lot more difficult to do that. You have to walk further away to do that.
It's got the trees that you love. Was there something about an exposed something on tower cross that was a problem?
Tower cross was not a problem actually. It was
playable today.
It was like, okay, brought up against Zerg, like Zerg takes another main's natural and then just survives and wins by default. So adding more bases helps Protoss deal with that, because they have more bases to take when Zerg gets the main, basically. So I guess that was like the only problem really.
Es una retransmisión del concurso de nuevos mapas que justamente son hechos con, o sea, basados en mapas antiguísimos de StarCraft, pero siendo los más comunes al meta del día de hoy.
So like Terra needed to be able to harass, I think, and it was balanced when it was used.
Interesting. Are the mains too penetrable if you're Terran?
You mean like shuttle play?
I remember you saying something about this map, that it takes too many turrets to try to...
I mean, I didn't say it was bad for Terran. I'm just saying it's a feature of the map. Shuttle play is strong, and he kept that, so that's good.
Well, I wonder how much of that is intentional on the part of the original map maker back then, or it was just like, just made something and people dealt with the consequences. Whereas now there's this expectation where, I got to be able to build anti-air defense with like 3 or 4 turrets.
If you want to have an open main that buffs shuttles, you can do it, but you got to be aware that you're doing that. Okay, like you have to know that that's what you're doing.
I like 6 o'clock compared to the original. Right? It's got the mineral line, horizontal, even space on both sides.
That was always a weird part. Like, why is the 6 o'clock so much more muted as Karazalov? it doesn't make any sense. So he did fix that. That's good.
Also,
Good
top
point.
right is not like in the original. The top right is really weird with the natural position, and it's also very much safer because it's tucked away in the corner. So just basically the symmetry of the original was pretty close to non-existent, actually.
Yeah, some spawns were better at certain things, and that's just silly. So he fixed that. I agree. That's a good point. And that was really the only thing you had to fix. But then he also went ahead and added extra bases, which I think is good for Protoss.
They have ramps as well.
Yeah, I think the mid ground spawns, like decoration wise or terrain wise, it could be though more grass or something, so the difference is easier to see. Like right now, it looks a bit like it could be the same level if you don't see which way the ramp goes.
I think that's probably better to see in game, though.
Yeah.
When you really can see the details of the cliff line and stuff like that, and the ramp.
I think this map would be great, actually. I think it's close to the original. He added some bases, which is, you know, a freedom he took. That was a liberal of him, but other than that, he just improved the map by making the spawn locations balanced.
Yeah, he basically went towards the modern 3-player base formula, like the Sylphid layout, basically, if you want.
This is a nice balance between old and new.
The blue choke, the first choke for blue, could be a bit too small. It looks like it on the image.
It looks tiny, you're right about that. It looks like it's smaller than the other ones.
I'd be unintentional.
Yeah.
This might have been a rough draft.
And I'm not sure if the chokes are still buildable here. If they are, then that's a bit of a problem with how Blue's choke is set up right now. Because the others, you could, if you build a pylon in the other chokes, you could still pass with lots of units. But for Blue, if you jammed a pylon in there, then it would, I think it would allow Zerglings to pass on the left, but nothing else.
Yeah.
So if he's using just default tiles and he hasn't changed the buildability there at all, the blue choke is not buildable and the other two are. But I need to see it in the editor to look at that. It should be the same width.
I think you can actually get it that you have identical chokes like on the original for all. Just, you know, the wall will probably look a bit weird like in the original, but there's enough space, I think.
He just needs to open that up, and then I think this map is great.
Yeah. I've noticed some of the maps he's recreated are by people who retired, pretty sure.
I like that you can still take the other mains natural and play like a defensive take and hold and eventually win. It just takes way longer until you win that way. And there's more counterplay before that happens for the less expanding race, you know?
Yeah. Okay. We have another map?
Oh,
another
nice.
old Blizzard ladder map.
This is an island map, dude, originally. Yeah, it is. Okay. Cool. So he added, again, the inside expo for Zerg. Only Zerg gets the gas.
Yeah.
Admittedly, this is more of a semi-island, in that once you get to the main land, you can just play a land map, right? So it's a semi-island map.
I think if you're familiar with Snowbound, you would not be able to guess it, right? Looking at Magma Bound? Other than the name, I guess. What do you guys think? Or
I mean, I never played on this, but if you played like
there's 4 spawning positions.
Didn't shrink down the picture correctly, so you can't see 2 of the bases in the Snowbound image, obviously.
Oh, it's a 4-player map.
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, there's one at like
12 and 6.
Okay, so that changes.
12 and 6, about like on the remake as well.
So I mean, I think it's very faithful, actually, and depending on how much gas is under those Kyloran crystal formations, it may also be loud.
Is it too basic?
I don't think so, man. I mean, okay, yeah, it's not.
The original looks a little bit more
decorated, you might.
Is it just maybe deco? I was thinking maybe. Yeah.
Well, ash maps are just hard to decorate in general.
Yeah,
There's not
Maybe
much
that's
to
what
work
it
with.
is.
It's
Fair
the
point.
ash aesthetic. But I would give this map a shot. Depending on the gas in the Inside Expo, it could be fun. Could be good. And I think it's loyal enough also, for sure, to the original.
I think if we asked Body to vote on his favorite maps, he'd have a hard time. It's like everybody's a
I would
winner.
vote on Tau Cross for sure. Tau Cross remake.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Heartbreak Ridge.
Okay.
I think people would
this
be
is
able to guess
interesting.
this.
They would, but
Like
you know
the
Heartbreak
others.
Ridge is being used in ASL, the original, right? They're gonna use it for next season.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're straight up gonna use it again.
They
Oh,
updated
yeah,
the
that's
mineral lines, but other than that, it's the same as
I
the
read
original.
about that.
They made the third base way more difficult to take for Terran Mech for some reason.
What's the huge problem with Heartbreak Ridge in today's meta?
There was no problem, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I just assume old maps, we can identify problems with them. So you think it's balanced? Not really much you can do.
It's
I mean,
like good for Terran, maybe, like split map turtle, take half the map, maybe.
I've seen
they
some
added
great
more
BSL
bases.
games on this.
Isn't it considered rather P over T, like carriers and stuff?
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was good for Terran, but seems good enough to me. Like I don't get it.
Okay, so what has McDonald's added value?
Well, what he did was, you're not going to take the normal third as easily anymore. Instead, you might take the center third. You see that? So the middle bases are like less in the middle now. Where like in a TVT, you could actually take one each. The mineral field, not the gas.
I don't think you can take one each because they're right next to each other. Either you take them both or none of them.
I mean, if you hold the center, you're probably going to get both, true. But theoretically, you could have like neither gas being taken, but like you have the minerals. It could have. But it's probably not going to happen, you're right.
Is it too similar to the old map?
You would think that, but he actually changed it a lot. Because like the third base is like mega difficult now to take. Unless you take the center base, that might be what you do. Which changes the map a lot. Because you're going to have Terran camping the center and Protoss moving around on the edges. You never camped on the center until endgame on the first.
Interesting.
So it's like a remix. Like it wasn't a broken map he had to fix, but he's like remixing it by making a few changes that really is going to change how you play it.
No idea why he chose McDonald's. Anybody know? Any guesses? Kind of like fixated on the most
maybe
irrelevant
because like,
details.
okay, this is far-fetched, but maybe it's because it's called heartbreak, right? What if your heart physically breaks if you eat too much McDonald's? Right? So that might be it.
Maybe McDonald's is like
So
super
it's
popular.
basically
in
heart
Korea.
attack rich now.
Exactly, that's it.
He was at McDonald's and he was mad at this. What should I call this? Big Mac? Oh, another Blizzard map. Okay.
Is this a ladder map or just a standard?
Oh, God knows.
I think just some random standard map.
Did he pick all Blizzard maps, or did he pick any maps by individuals whose names we know? I suspect they're mostly Blizzard maps.
Most of the maps
Mostly,
he
yeah,
made are Blizzard
definitely,
maps.
mostly, yes.
Maybe that was a safe choice on his part if he wants to get his map, I don't know, accepted somewhere and he's worried about, you know.
I mean, they accepted 76, right? Which is an 815 remake, which is an old Pro League or something map, so...
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So the original is actually one of the better Blizzard maps, because both spawns have a natural expansion band around. Wow, holy shit. I know. Amazing. Now the remake, I mean, I guess he would have to change a lot, but like, I don't recognize it actually. That's just the same.
I like his deco is more minimalist here. I actually do like that
Yeah.
about him. There's nothing that really just bugs me looking at it deco wise.
Might be because it's Ash, and so he has to.
He was
I mean,
restricted.
the thing
like
is,
Kazoo.
this is one of these old Blizzard maps that's basically just lots and lots of really long, really tight pathways winding all over the map, right?
Yeah.
What can you really do about that? Except what he did, which is adding lots of perpendicular shortcuts. So
Right.
We got somebody in the chat saying doesn't look similar. Second mineral wall behind main now too, instead of only
Yeah.
Thank you.
Adding extra bases, I think, is good. There were not enough bases. And again, Protoss needs to have a gas base to take easily for the Zerg matchup. But like the main concept of the map is those winding paths. And I'm wondering if you could possibly make like a semi-air map playable by doing that. Like Protoss is gonna go Ser Weaver, right? Against Zerg. And then carriers are gonna dominate. So maybe Terran would have a problem with that.
Is the size of this map bigger than the original? Or no, they're
Yeah,
both the same
yeah,
size.
I think so.
yes. It's
Yeah, right.
original seems to be 128 by 96.
Exactly, yeah.
And this is 128 squared, which is
Yes.
actually usually it's a bit too big for a two-player map.
Do you think
Two-player maps nowadays are usually 128 by 112, maybe 128 by 120, but not full size.
if you shrink the size of the map or expand it, you think you're getting away from the spirit of the map? Because that obviously affects gameplay and stuff, right? Or no,
in
that's
this case, no. In this case, I don't think that was like a. I think he had to make it bigger because he wanted to add bases. So I'm okay with it.
I mean, with this kind of symmetry, it definitely helps if you go to at least 128 by 112. Like, what's it called?
Eclipse.
Eclipse, for example, has that format.
This is one of my favorite submissions from Zombie.
Why?
Side by side comparison, they look pretty similar.
Did you think his other submissions were too different from the original? Is that why you said that?
No, but some are kind of a stretch.
I mean, this has the visual recognizability, I guess. But it plays, of course, very differently.
I like the deco here of the lava and stuff.
He had to change a lot, he thought, because like this map's broken, so what are you gonna do? But in this case, I think you could make a map that's like semi-air, because it takes a long time to walk. I think the only potential problem there for that concept is carriers versus Terran. Could be too strong.
What's up with the simulators?
Yeah, why did you do that?
Anybody know what's going on down here? Kind of like this. Sort
That's
of random.
actually still just a cliff where you can't even walk on, right? It's a pure drop cliff.
Oh, I don't get it.
So probably pretty inconsequential what he did there.
I think a player would be curious, like, what the hell's going on behind my
By
face?
the way, he did remake at least one non-Blizzard map. He made the geometry remake.
Yeah, which was good. Apart from we wanted to.
And the Silent Vortex remake is by him as well.
Right.
So.
Zombie's one of the wonderful
some
additions.
non-Blizzard maps, definitely.
I think the geometry remake is my favorite. This. Oh yeah, this is a map people used to play on.
Woman story.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is pretty
Seems like
smart.
the original title was Man Story translated.
Okay.
That's why.
I like it.
Okay, what he did with this map is really clever. Because obviously the problem is Protoss doesn't get a second gas conserve, and so it's broken. But notice how there's an inside expo in the original. So all he did was he slapped the gas on the inside expo and he made it more accessible so you can walk to it. And other than that, he's really kept a lot of the map. He added the gas to 12 and 6 and stuff, fair enough. But like overall, this is quite similar.
But on the other hand, I mean, having this in-base mineral-only island is one of the most recognizable features of the original, right? And it has pretty unique gameplay consequences as well. So I think changing that is actually problematic as opposed to, let's say, modifying it so you just get standard natural again, right?
Yeah, the inside island expo. You're right. That is a
Is
defining
it
feature.
incompatible though with today's meta? Would that be the justification?
No. You
That's
can
an
have that,
interesting question because you're just
you can have an inside island for sure. That's fine. You can have an inside island.
What recent map has something like that?
Most recent map that had that was like
Return of the
Byzantium.
King had it as well, for example.
Return of the King, Byzantium. Actually, not Byzantium.
No, Byzantium didn't have it. It's this map at Return of the King that had
Yes.
exactly this form here.
I was thinking of Return of the King, and I was giving it the wrong name. So yeah.
I mean, he's just made it a backdoor expansion, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like round instead of playing.
It's got a gas, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at that. It's just.
Oh, and he added a spreader colony to allow Zerg to defend the ramp, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I guess Frankling's point would have a lot of weight if there aren't other futures that really define the original. And it's really a lot about that mineral island.
I mean, that's probably the one most defining or most characteristic feature of the map, right? I mean, there's literally 2 maps that have this feature, so I don't know. When I think of
kept the islands on the sides.
Namja Yagi or Man Story or whatever, that's the one feature I think about, right? So
yeah.
What about the islands on the side? He kept those.
He kept those, yeah. And,
kept
I mean,
all
those
the everything else. Yeah.
He changed the terrain, but that's acceptable. Now, I think you really had 2 options for this. One, you place like a Sanoga temple at the back so that you don't start with that exposed, right? So that Protoss can get a gas. Or 2, you add like a double geyser in your main, so Protoss gets that gas back. If you had done those, I think you would have been more loyal to the original, actually.
It's cool.
But looks like fine now.
Map name is Poverty. I think it's one of my favorite map names.
Huh.
No idea why. Is it because you're just limited on resources?
No, you were certainly in the original, but not anymore. I think this is loyal enough, and I think that it's actually playable. Because you got the 2 bases straight up, so everybody just gets a 2 base economy. And then Zerg can in minus expand really, even more.
But then again, I think in Island PvZ, if both players are on 2 bases, then Zerg loses to the air battle, and
that's why they added the Nidus expansion. Like Protoss is not.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that's really a late game feature. You have to go all the way to Hive Tech to even use that, and by that point, Protoss will have probably like 4+ bases and just be so far ahead that you can't really make use of it. So, I think you need to be 1 gas ahead of Protoss in some way.
I think they need to add a 500 to 1,000 Vespin Kaiser in the main. I think they need to add that. That only Zerg. Okay, they have 2 options. They could add a Zerg only Geyser with like only 1,000 gas, right? Like we've seen before. Or they could add a Geyser really far away from everything else, so that you're putting a Hatcher there and you don't care, but like putting a Nexus there hurts, And then also give it like, I don't know, maybe it could be a full Geyser, but you know what I mean? Like a Geyser in the corner, like one of those Blizzard Geysers, on its own.
Or at least, I don't know, very heavily sway the balance from minerals towards gas, maybe. Because Zerg really needs a lot of gas on island maps just to ramp up to get to drop tech and hive tech, which they really need to make use of island maps. Whereas Protoss, if you have a map like Paradox, for example, which is very rich in minerals, that's generally good for Protoss. Because they can do, they can put all that into like shuttles and reavers, mostly, and then later carriers maybe.
Okay, but if you add a geyser far away on your main island and you don't add any minerals, you are making it more gas focused.
Yeah,
right? Like. And you're putting it far away, so really only Zerg can take it early. Those are my predictions.
Yeah, just plug down your 3rd hatchery there.
Nice. That's what I would do to this. I would just add a dice like that. Okay, now, speaking of winding paths, I thought about this map when you mentioned that. Because Gauntlet was one of the best Blizzard maps, and it had the winding paths. And it was actually playable. It's not as winding as the previous one, but it's pretty winding. Yeah. Like mostly an air map. Anyway, he made a 3-player version of it. I think his map is good, but I don't think it's anything like the original.
Yeah.
I really like the map as a standalone map, but I don't think it has the spirit thing.
I think it would be hard for somebody to recognize it.
Yeah.
Like, what's a distinctive feature in the old? What's in the new? Really nothing that stands out. Yeah, I think it's different, right?
The spirit of the original is that you have the winding paths by ground, so that it's like semi-air map, except for the late game, which he did not keep, you know. And keep in mind, it was one of the better maps back in the day. People actually played on it a lot. It was used in tournaments even.
Any opinions from map makers? Do you guys think this is... I mean, you obviously approve this map.
Yeah, so I like this map quite a bit. However, I do see that it's not quite a faithful remake of the original. The only similarities that I see are the main and natural layout.
The thing
However,
I mean, there's also like you get the ramp down there, then there's a bridge to another base. Basically, he added another base to that.
Right, the relative position of the bases is
how far
roughly
you could do
equivalent to the
something
original.
like this tucked away corner base in the top right or bottom left of the original in a remake, and particularly in a 3-player remake. The open middle, of course, is a major difference.
Is it an improvement, though?
You can't compare it because it's a totally different map. It's a good map, but it's not an improvement because it's not the same map anymore.
That's the thing. Like, Suri, did you like this map a lot because you didn't like the...
No, I like this
pathing
map
of the
because I
original?
think it's a good map.
You like what he did with the center, right?
Well,
you don't like the
I like
center
the layout
view
of the first 4 bases. The center seems too open for me, and there's not really much value in taking the center base.
That's fair
But
point.
the layout of the first 4 bases, I think, is very nice. And it's roughly equivalent to the original, but not quite the same. Mainly because since it's on a 3-player map, there's not nearly enough space to make the same base layout as on the original.
I think I agree with Wadi. I'm just open to the idea of getting rid of even like a defining feature that's kind of like awkward or not really fun to play on. But I mean,
you could make Gauntlet playable today. If you did 2 things, Gauntlet will be playable. 1, you add a gas to the natural, and 2, you move the ramp closer to the main so that you can reach your natural easier. If you do that, it's literally playable today.
If you were a contestant, that's what you would have done, and hopefully change some other things, just so you weren't seen as a lazy copier.
I would change the tile sets just to throw people off.
I would say it's kind of borderline, but I mean, I would go either way. It kind of reminds me of like Ascension was a remake of Blue Storm, but it didn't really like feel like Blue Storm, you know. Kind of visually had it. Definitely looks like a decent map though.
Making it 3 players, does that change things quite a bit?
It has to, yeah. But here he changed it even more than he has to, I think. Like you don't have the narrow bridges to control, the narrow ramps, like the choke points, you know, instead it's an open map. Like you could have kept that.
Is there dead space?
You could certainly design a middle with some bridges though.
Yeah. Right.
That's at least somewhat similar. Maybe with like some tight bridges around the outside and then a bit more open in the center. Don't really need the middle base, I guess.
Does the dead space in the corner serve any kind of purpose?
it's a 3-player map, so you gotta have it. You know?
Yeah. Is that right?
It helps Protoss recon against China.
Mostly just there because symmetry. There's not much you can do about it.
I mean, you could certainly improve space usage a bit here, just by, contorting things a bit to fill out the spaces better, and maybe use what you gain for other parts of the map.
All right, I think that was our last map. I'm clicking and nothing's changing.
Yeah, well, that's 48 of the 60 that have actually been approved in our initial screening. So we had overall, I think, 90 submissions by 19 map makers. 19? 20? Let me check again.
That was great, man. Body, I really appreciate you joining us. I've been trying to get Body to cast for us. Not that we're streaming often anymore, but I think he said that.
I quit StarCraft for a while because I was attending this boot camp for programming, and we didn't have weekends. I literally had to work.
Nice.
7 days a week.
No, I totally understand.
So yeah, that's why.
But you also mentioned you find maps and stuff interesting, and just thinking about the past when you tested a lot of new maps and stuff for us and gave feedback to players. So it was kind of a treat to have you join us.
New maps, but when I play on them, I'm actually just playing them for my own sake. I can't judge if a map is good or not because I'm not good enough, and even the best players, they can't predict how the map's gonna evolve over time. So really, you just kind of have to take the plunge and see what happens, more or less. Actually, in games. But having said that, yes, I like to play new maps, but I do it for my own sake because I think it's interesting.
Well, maybe an unintended consequence was you kind of helped the map-making community flourish. You might remember there were just a couple of them in our Discord, 2020. Now their Discord is blooming. We got Koreans in there. We got connections with the ASL, and they're getting their maps at foreign leagues. So it's really cool to see that. I think it's one of the shining examples in the foreign community.
It's so hype that non-Korean maps were used in ASL, actually. That is insane. That would have been unthinkable in the past.
I don't know if any have been accepted by... Well, there have been some examples in the past, but I think they're mostly by Koreans.
Well,
what about...
Coven and Goodnight.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
Yeah, Goodnight, the author, isn't he American-Korean? Korean-American?
Yeah, but he's American, not Korean. Well, he's Korean-American, but he's American.
Okay, I mean, that still counts.
I think the fact they consider the maps, they have some communication and stuff, and they accepted a map that was based on a older map, 76, which was pretty cool. I remember one of the ASL admins or whatever. Sir, you might have mentioned or did somebody mention they might have not been open to that idea because there's that problem of you didn't get permission from the original author, blah blah blah.
Yeah, they weren't too keen on people remaking their maps.
We don't necessarily have the means, and particularly not every map maker just has the means to contact any original map maker. Plus, there gets some bias in when someone gets approval to remake a map and someone else doesn't. So,
well, I understand getting permission to make a modification on a map, but to completely remake a map is
a strict rule that
I like what we're doing. We've had some really cool maps come through.
It's a proprietary attitude. Nevertheless, I hope you guys do create a map pack and then share it with organizers and stuff, so they can kind of, instead of individual map makers promoting their individual works to different events and stuff, it'd be cool if it's just collectively submitted and they can look through it and pick out what they think is good.
Jojo put together a map pack. I can post a link to it in the chat.
Yeah, and as the contest progresses, you could create folders for top 12, top 4, blah blah blah. Just an idea. All right, gentlemen. Took up most of your day. I know it's late for Vadi.
All of my day.
Jojo. Yeah. Freakling, thank you very much for putting together that slideshow. Really, really nicely done.
Yeah, very
actually.
cool.
Yes, thank you, Frequent.
So
And everybody.
Pleasure.
Alright,
Making fun of
well,
the map makers.
Good maps.
Thanks, Jojo, for the mech tag.
Buddy, are you gonna test out some of the maps, or you're not really playing anymore?
I mean, I'm playing that.
Somebody told me you're 2,500 right now.
2,500 is a little exaggerated.
2,400, 2,500 is
2,400 I am. Yeah, that's what I am.
Good for you.
2,400 something. I haven't reached 500 yet.
Are you
And
playing with
honestly,
Terran?
Yeah, right now. Yeah, I'm considering
job.
playing Protoss because I got some ideas that nobody's gonna believe until I actually do it. So but I think I'll stick to Terran.
I like that about you. You're a little bit unorthodox in your play.
Yeah, I actually. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let the game speak for itself. You'll see it eventually. That's all.
You got some new things
I've
in
been
the
doing some
works?
stuff though. Like,
That's cool. I respect it. I think that makes the game more fun for you, right? Trying to be innovative and like think of things conceptually.
it's a lot of fun, yeah.
That's always intrigued me about, especially the programmers who come up with builds and think about meta like that instead of just copying them, like a lot of players do.
You could get 2,500 easily with Protoss in a day.
Well, I mean, if I play Protoss, I'll get to where I am with Terran. I want to get farther though. I think I get to work the same, which is 2,400.
Do it, man.
Okay, I'm just gonna say one thing. I've been playing, and before I say what it is, I do this at mid-low S, like I'm beating 2,300 Koreans, 2,400 Koreans doing this. What it is, literally, I shit you not, Marine tank Terran versus Terran. And it's working at 2,400.
It throws them off basically? They're just not
The
expecting.
reason it works is that you get more gas than your opponent. It's because think about it. When you go in Vulture tank, you have to spend the gas just to spend your minerals. I don't have to do that. I only spend minerals to spend my minerals. Right? And so I either get more tanks than my opponent, or I get the same amount of tanks, but also rates. So I get a gas advantage, basically. And if I go rates, he has to go Goliath, which drains his gas even more, which gives me an even bigger gas advantage.
Would that work if you were to play 2 or 3 games against the Terran, or is it just good as a surprise factor?
The problem with it is that right now I'm kind of feeling you have to go rates, and if people realize that, as soon as they see like a single Marine, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this guy's going rates," So
It's kind of a cool experiment for you too to see if somebody can break this, right? And if not, it could be introduced to the meta.
It's not gonna be in the meta, no.
It's kind of cool thinking about it though,
I mean,
and trying.
yeah,
I like that.
But how do Marines really fare against Vultures in the long run?
Against Vultures, they fucking wreck Vultures. The problem is they're worse against tanks than Vultures. Okay, actually, the problem is you're playing without mines. That's why it's weak. It's good because you get more gas. It's weak because you don't have
Marines are
mines.
reasonably good in shooting down mines, actually, if you have
Yeah,
enough of them.
yeah.
But the problem is that Vultures just two-shot kill Marines, right?
They do, but
they aren't much more expensive. I mean, if you have lots and lots of Marines, maybe, but
honestly, Marines versus Vultures, like either one can beat the other in a fight. Problem is, Vultures have mines, and mines are just so good to have it because you get like map pack everywhere, and I don't get that. So that's really the only problem with it. But I mean, I'm winning with it at versus Koreans at 2,400. So it's good enough for me.
Game is super hard these days, man. Just getting like BC rank, it's tough. It's an aggravating game, right? It's a little toxic, to be honest. Like the players you encounter, the shit talking and stuff. But,
yeah, it's always been the case though. It's just people are assholes. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Shall we call it a day?
You're gonna play that video. You're gonna play that video.
Yeah, let's end it with this. I did play it when there was a raid, by the way. Zero had raided us, and my dumbass didn't see it for like 5 minutes.
Thank you for your help, Ox.
I didn't do anything. It's all you guys, man. Literally just sat here and enjoyed a conversation about maps.
Actually, shout out to Suri and Jojo. They've been helping out a lot.
Yeah, they become really good map
jumping in.
makers. It's fun watching their journey from
most definitely
where they started to joining the community of losers. Can we talk shit about Freakling, or is he still here? Oh, he's here.
he like the gold standard for maps?
Freakling?
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah, he knows quite a bit.
That's a good compliment.
Bueno, hemos llegado al final ya. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Y esos fueron todos los mapas para que ahora revisen el video, puedan ver también el análisis. Recuerden que es muy valioso porque hemos visto el análisis de creadores como Freakling, como Jojo, como Minerals y toda la gente que está metida, digamos, en esto. Así que seguro que va a ser muy valioso y es por eso que voy a dejar ese stream abierto. Si por ahí quieren interesarse o se interesan mucho más en el tema de los mapas y no saben tanto inglés, pueden poner los subtítulos, pueden traducirlo también si gustan, poner la opción de traducción en español y puedan disfrutar ese contenido valiosísimo de los mapas. Así que nada, se los dejo ahí, que tengan buenas tardes, nos vemos. Nosotros tenemos un video que se llama Análisis de los nuevos mapas de la ESL. Lo hicimos con el StyleSurf, un creador de mapas mexicano. Si puedo lo voy a dejar en el primer comentario el enlace. También sepan que pueden votar por estos mapas. Tienen 4 días para hacerlo. Estén súper atentos. Si no me equivoco, 4 días o tal vez más. Pero estén atentos porque pueden disfrutar también y votar por su mapa preferido para verlo. Bueno, para posteriormente disfrutarlo en un torneo o en unos showmatch con jugadores de alto nivel. Eso es, que tengan un buen fin de semana, nos vemos.